My next guest is the chef and owner of 411 and Fenders here in Norfolk. Danny, thanks for making time to be here today.
Thanks for letting me come through.
No problem. I'm Zach Miller with my co-host Vance Neidig.
Nice to meet you, Danny.
How's it going, Vance?
And we are touching base with Danny. Is it Orwa?
Yeah,
Danny Orwa today. So Danny, again, thanks for coming. I know you're a busy guy.
Not really. I look like it.
You got a lot going on anyway.
Keeps the boredom away. So
there you go. So like early years, where did you grow up?
Originally, I was born in Kenya. I was in the city of Nairobi. And then we moved around South Africa. And then from South Africa to Iowa. And then from Iowa, I went to college in West Virginia.
How'd you get from South Africa to Iowa? What brought you to Iowa?
Yeah, I got on the wrong boat.
A lot colder.
Just looking for something good. I've never been able to stay somewhere stagnant.
Yeah.
I want to see and be exposed to a lot. You miss out on this world is so big, and as much as I can expose myself and learn, when my time comes and I leave here, I'll not have any regrets.
Yeah, leave your mark on society. Yeah,
true that.
I see a lot of that too, where I've seen a lot of people come from overseas and they end up in Iowa. I just never understood.
Iowa,
was there any reason for Iowa?
So my sister came here first, and then it was pitched, hey, can the boys come to school here? And before you know it, we came down, and Iowa was a good place because it wasn't a city.
Where at in Iowa?
Iowa City.
Oh, Iowa City.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the eastern side.
Yep. It was small enough to where there's not a lot of culture shock,
Yeah.
and adapting to the environment was a lot easier. It wasn't quite as strenuous as you'd expect, like in a big city where it's very competitive, and just going to school and getting work and all that. So it was a perfect fit.
So when did you move from, you said Kenya, right?
Yep.
To South Africa?
So I left Kenya in 1998.
How old were you?
I was in 14.
Oh,
No,
so you
13.
So you spent a lot of time in Kenya then?
Oh, yeah.
13 years?
Yeah. I still go back. I go back every year.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
How was that growing up over there? Like, can you compare that to maybe kids growing up here in the U.S.?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's different. My upbringing, I would say, it wasn't quite as easy, but like my parents taught me well, and I gained a lot of knowledge just by curiosity. I remember first grade, the first thing, like once you start learning how to talk and read, and the first thing the teachers teach you is, this country came from colonization. I'm like, what the hell are they talking about, right? And then as you progress through like first grade, second grade, third grade, and you get a better perspective of things.
Yeah.
So that history kind of shaped how Kenya runs till today, right? And you can see all the other African countries, they're starting to now branch out on their own. They're starting to have their own thinking mentality that's different. And that shows a little bit of progress, right? Because for decades, they haven't had they have the independence, but they're not independent.
Right.
They're not as independent as you'd like them to be. They're so dependent on foreign aid, and they're so dependent on foreign culture and all that. So to now start to identify with themselves, you can see like the music. I think they've come up with like Afrobeat, a new genre.
Yep.
I was listening to music like that when I was growing up, but it wasn't like mainstream.
Yeah.
So they're starting to identify with themselves, which is a good thing.
Right.
And a lot of people are starting to take heed in what they have to offer as a nation of different countries.
A little self identity and creating your own, like you were talking about, creating your own culture and just like and being proud of themselves.
Yeah.
And not just taking handouts. More of a.
And I walk around with a little bit of guilt, because I'd like to be a part of that process and as I work to find myself and get a good identity of what my purpose is, I'd like to also be involved in that progress.
Yeah.
You know, so as we age, like the older generations that were there from like back in the day, from like the colonial days, they're starting to die, and there's this new group of young people with a new thought process and mindset that is so different.
Right.
And it's not just in Africa, I think it's everywhere.
Right.
It is so different, and it's so progressive to the point where in this day and age, there's something really special happening.
Right.
With us, the ability of communicating, like this podcast that we're talking on right now,
Yep.
once you put it on the cloud, I mean, you might have someone from Africa listening to it.
Yeah, you can hear it anywhere.
You know?
We've had a few different countries so far listening to this one that you're on now.
Yeah.
Mexico being one of them, which obviously we knew that was going to happen. We had one from Ghana. One.
Right,
I don't know how we got that one, but
see, but that's what I'm talking about. So
The world becomes a lot smaller.
it becomes a lot smaller, and everybody is pretty much able to share ideas in real time as it happens.
right.
So no one is left behind. It's just how fast are you adapting to it, and are you making good out of the information that you're obtaining?
Yeah, and it makes it works really good, but it requires a little bit of personal responsibility too, which
Oh yes,
and it's growing. So what you're explaining is growing over there, and
it's,
so
it's
that's
moving so fast. Like I
it
can't
seems
even
like
keep up.
it feels like here we're losing it, the personal responsibility.
Right.
And on some of our younger generations, we're not getting as much of that as what I see. I see that
So,
happening here.
You know the cool thing when you say about that, I used to have conflicts with that. Because there's that saying, you know, we used to do things this way, and this new generation doesn't get it. But if you take a step back and you try to understand how they operate and what they like, and you build things based on that, and you'll find like the connection is not that far.
Yeah.
Right. I guess he's kind of seeing it as like where you were saying you felt kind of personally responsible, you know, for maybe guilt, maybe not being able to help with stuff back home. And he's saying that maybe here, maybe they're not feeling as personally responsible for the growth of what's going on. That's kind of what he was kind of maybe.
Because once they build it up, and then I go back and I'm like, all right, where do I fit in on this?
Right.
And I'm like, dude.
Were you kind of sheltered from kind of the war-torn parts?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good then.
When I was in South Africa, I mean, I saw a lot of the racism, but just from my upbringing, I mean, the way I was brought up and the exposure that I had, I was a little bit naive on the subject. I was the dude, like, I went to like an all-white Jewish school.
Because South Africa is pretty predominantly white, right?
Some parts.
Yeah.
Like mostly the wealthy areas. And there's a really big disparity on the races. But when I got there, I was super naive, so I didn't know. So like I went to an all white like Jewish school, right? It was called Crawford College. I was like the only black dude, and I'm coming from Kenya, right? And we're in this like foreign African country, and they're dogging on me like Kenya is crap,
Right.
And the thing that saved me is I was good at soccer. I was good at soccer, so
Well, that's good. That's South Africa's big on soccer.
Yeah, once they saw the skills, I made friends quick.
Yeah,
Everybody
good.
wants me on their team, and before you know it, I was cool, and I started like making adjustments, and it actually opened up doors. So like the other black kids who I used to hang out with, they were more like before hesitant to like come hang out or play soccer with us, but then after a while they're like, hey, it's not that bad.
Right.
And I learn as I go. I'm like, okay, if I can do that in a small school like that, I mean, everywhere I go, I just don't acknowledge it, or I don't let it get to my head, or I mean, I can identify with it, but I don't make it an issue.
Right.
So
I don't want to get too much into racism, but
yeah.
Do you feel that it was maybe worse there than it maybe is around some parts of America, or did you kind of feel like it was? Like, I guess, how do you feel on that aspect of it?
What I learned from it was the approach. Like if someone's racist, fine. I'm not gonna try and get into a fight to try to prove a point or to try to change a mindset. I'll keep my distance, right? because I know out there's a lot more other people who are way nicer. To waste my time to try to convince someone who's already made up their mind is, I could be doing other better things.
Right.
Yep.
I could be associating myself with way better people, way more positive, good energy people.
Right.
And I get more out of that than trying to prove a point or try to change, a certain mentality. So that's just how I've always operated. And to be honest, it actually has got me to where I am today.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because I've only lived in small towns. I call it divine guidance. Just go there and learn as much as you can. And the good thing that comes out of it is once you understand, you can communicate a lot better and you can relate. And once I noticed, I know what boundaries not to cross and where not to go, and and everything is all good.
It seems like a lot of competitive type stuff, like sports or just being high intellect stuff like that, is a great equalizer when it comes to that. People just realize, hey, we're all the same. It's whatever.
And that's the cool thing. Like I played soccer, I ran track and field in college, and the competitive aspect and just the way I approach life. Thanks to sports, I know we don't see a lot of track and field, but you can learn a lot from track and field.
Well, it's you by yourself, basically. I mean, it's you.
It's you by yourself. It's how you train. It's how it's how you train, how you eat, and when you're on the field and you're about to run a 400 or 200 meter, and I don't know how they came up with the design for this, but when you line up, right, there's a couple guys on your right, there's a couple guys on your left. The gun goes, and what determines how you'll perform on the race is how you practice,
right,
and how you're running that day. So you could win that race, you could lose that race, but the next race, based on how you're seated, will be determined on how you practiced after that previous race.
right.
And you have the same guys, and the same outcome is expected, but then there's this shocking, my goodness.
You can change it, the outcome.
You beat someone else's best PR, and you move up, then now you're the guy who's being gone for.
Everybody's coming for you.
Yes.
Yep.
So you want to train 10 times harder. And that's just like the best example of life.
Yeah.
Right? We work really hard. You get to a certain point, and you think you can just sit back and,
There's always somebody else coming.
There's always somebody else coming.
Always somebody trying to come for your spot.
And that's how track and field is relatable to everything I do.
Yeah.
And going back
that's
to
a good
and
start.
there's good and bad people everywhere. Going back to kind of the whole racist vibes, you're gonna find that anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So it's like one of those, and we say that all the time about good and bad people. They're just out there.
I mean, I love everybody. I try not to find any issues. I mean, there's a lot of people who'll hurt your feelings, and they'll hurt you. And even during those circumstances, I still look for the good. I regardless of what it is, I still look for the good. If there's a voice of reason and they allow the opportunity, yep, I'm open for that. But most of the time, it's just best if not to ignore it, but just to stay away from it.
Right.
So
Makes sense. So take us through the journey from South Africa to the United States then.
So then I came here, 2000, did high school in Iowa City. And then from Iowa City, I did a 2-year stint at a community college and then transferred to Bethany College, West Virginia. I love that place.
Yeah.
It was like small town, like 90 people.
in a college town?
Yeah, and then when schools open, there'll be about 1,500 students.
Jeez.
We had one bar, one grocery store. Everywhere, everything was like 30 to 45 minutes away. Like you love McDonald's and up there because you can catch a ride to Wellsburg. it was a town, and but my first year I struggled because I didn't know anybody there. Trying to understand the place, how things operate, and then, dude, my senior year, I loved it. I would go back there and I still know everybody.
Well, there's only 90 people.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
There's only 90 people. So
What did you study there?
financial economics.
Oh, okay.
I'm really good in economics.
You like numbers?
Not really. I like trends. I like trends
There
and
you go.
graphs.
Yeah.
You know, and economics runs every day in your life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I finished up in West Virginia, up Ohio Valley, right next to Pittsburgh, Ohio.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
It's a nice place.
So you just traveled quite a bit then.
Yeah. And the good thing on that side of the country is everything's close.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not long ways to
Yeah, it's
everything.
Now you can take a bus 4 hours. You're in D.C. Once you get to D.C., I think it's 2 hours. You're in New Jersey. And then New York is right around the corner. And that's where we'd go for spring break.
To New York.
Yeah, in the cold.
Usually everybody goes south. You went north.
You can go to is it North Carolina had I forgot what it was called. It was like a country concert. It's big. It's like trying to remember what it's called.
Oh, I can't think
That's
of it
with
either.
a B. But it's huge.
know.
It's out in
Big
the
one?
field. Yeah.
During spring break.
Also, it's kind of like the
So it's
big
kind of
old
like
festival.
Comstock,
Yeah.
Comstock
Out in the
Windmill
field,
Festival.
But hey,
Just go out there, drink beers, sit in the
They
camper.
party
and
hard. Yeah. Now it's spring break.
Country music fans know how to party.
Oh yeah. And the cool thing is they party in a civil way. Like there's no fights. It could be a crowd of like 5,000 people, and it's so organized and it's muddy, but
You're going to party, go play beer pong, and
Right.
everybody's going to pass out. And the next morning, start it all over again.
oh yeah. So
That's fun.
I love that. That was a pretty cool time.
Yeah.
So from college, what ended up, give us the path to coming to Norfolk?
So I graduated, and then supposed to look for work. That was like during 2007. So
Financial crisis about hitting.
you want to hear a cool story about that?
Yeah.
So I was studying economics, and at the end of the year, you have to do your senior seminar, your senior project. And my project was based off of doing it was business cycles and forecasting. And you had to like build a model. And at the time, I believe the war in Iraq was going on, and then the government spending was up. And as I did my projections, right, and you have to run like regression analysis and all that, and it'll input your data and it'll draw up graphs for you. And my professor, I won't forget his name, Wilfred Sapler, cool dude, man. He helped me out a lot. And when I was turning in my senior project to him, I'm like, hey, based on my data here, it looks like it's projecting there's going to be a recession. And on the dates, like you have like your quarters, right? And I had it on September of 2007. Dude, I graduated,
Right.
and the next year the housing market and everything, and I'm like, holy crap! I did this in college.
I called it out.
I can't publish it because it was a small school in West Virginia where nobody knows.
That's funny.
But
Did you call your professor and say, hey, I need that back?
Right.
I haven't talked to him about that, but
You should.
I should.
So
Like,
see how many days was I really off on this thing? So.
but it's just weird how I see things. Another weird thing. I'll get back to after
You're fine, yeah.
graduation. But when I used to run track and field, I remember like we'd be on the bus, and this is when what do you call that phone? The Motorola Razr had come out,
Oh yeah.
and the iPod Nano. You remember that?
Yep.
I don't remember that one. I remember that because I had the Razr, the little skinny flip phone you're talking.
Yeah, but they had the iPod Nano
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
because they came out with a big iPod.
Oh,
Yeah, it
the
was the
music
little-
player.
and then-
Yeah,
the
and
little
they
iPod
came out with
Nano,
a
yeah.
small one, right?
Yeah.
And I remember I went to a track meet, and I'm on the bus with the coach. I was sitting in front. His name was Coach Upton. And I'm like, yo, Upton, I have an idea. I'm not making this stuff up. I'm like, I have an idea. Man, every time we go to these track meets, I have to carry my wallet, my iPod, and my cell phone. Wouldn't it be cool if it was all in just like one piece of thing? And fast forward today, what do you have on your phone? Your music,
everything.
your wallet,
Your camera.
Everything.
I did see it.
and then a year later, Steve Jobs comes out with the iPhone. I'm like, oh man.
I saw a meme the other day that said we're the last generation, or something about. There's a TikTok about if our generation we grew up it's a good thing we grew up without cell phone cameras because all the stupid shit we were done wasn't recorded.
I know, man.
I couldn't have. Now everybody can record you doing stupid shit.
But yeah, and there was that free. You walk into a bar and you can be a fool, and you leave home, one of your friends to remind me, man, you a fool yesterday. They're like, yeah, right. They're like, yeah, you should have seen yourself. But now
you see yourself.
Now you see yourself.
Camera.
And
it was a better time, I think. It was more to me because I grew up. We're kind of so you would have been born in like 83, 84, 85, somewhere there. 84. So I was born in 85. He's 87.
Yep.
So we're all the same age, and we're kind of that last generation. And like you grew up with it, but without it. Like we got into it a little bit, and so
because that was the cool part of going out is to act the fool,
freedom. Yeah,
and then you don't
you
look
learn
back
from
to
your
it.
mistakes.
Yeah, but now I went to a club and dude, people are just standing.
Yeah,
on their phone.
Yeah,
Everybody's
they're
on their
just
phone.
standing because you gotta keep your guard up. You don't want to end up.
Yep.
and you're going out, like So
right.
it's not really going out now. It's more like I don't even know how to define it.
It's weird. Everything is changed.
There's no privacy.
Yeah,
Right.
That was what nightclubs were. I studied nightclubs, man. I don't know if you ever had the story of what was that place called? Not Studio 54, Limelight.
I've heard of it.
I've heard of it.
Right? Could you imagine if they had cell phones when Limelight was there?
Right.
Like right now, they just write stories about. Well, there's a documentary, but
Right.
they would never act like that.
No, you can't anymore. Yeah,
So
they'll cancel you for anything anymore.
but I mean, I guess that's what we are now. So can't fight it.
No, you got to learn to adapt. I guess
Adapt
kinda
or adjust, like you said. You just got to adjust and avoid it. And
But going back to I graduated. The economy was bad. The two things you have to do when the economy is in that status is either you keep looking for work, but the longer you're out of the workforce, less likely you're able to get a job because whatever degree you graduated, it's just not good as if it sits there for a year. So the other option was to go back to school. So my sister was up in South Dakota at the time, and she was working for it was a native board, and she was a public health specialist.
okay,
And in one of the offices, there was a guy that was running the accounting farm there. So he offered me a job while I go back to school, and I went back to school, and this accounting thing at the time was not looking pretty because you go on the news and you're like, this financial firm closed, this other one closed, and I think Enron was going down at the time.
Enron was around that time too. Yeah,
So
Bear Stearns, all that stuff was happening.
So my degree looked a little suspect if I'm looking for a job because they tell me, hey, we're actually laying people off.
right.
So I went back to school, and because it wasn't looking pretty, I started bartending, and I worked at a restaurant, and it was in a hotel. It's called the Radisson.
Was that in Rapid City? Or?
Yeah, in Rapid City.
Okay.
And the coolest thing that came from there was a really amazing group of people. Like the owner was amazing. The management was dope. There was this Moroccan guy. He was trained by guys from the Ritz-Carlton.
Oh, nice.
So he taught me how to serve and sling cocktails and like the etiquette of things. And I just loved it. Like, and then Rapid City is a tourist place.
Yep.
So you just
I enjoy going to Rapid City. I like the town.
Yeah.
I really like going to Rapid
They've
City.
come a long way, man. Like, but the exposure I got from there is what like has shaped me into what I'm doing now. And that was like, I think I learned a lot just from that than what I did in college. Like
Real
college
life
was just-
experience.
real life experiences. The college was like just the fundamentals, so you can apply it when you're doing other things, or you can use it as a reference. But as I kept working and I'm meeting like all sorts of talent, I'm like, man, how did you learn to do that, and how do you do that? And I mean, I remember this Jamel guy. People would come to his bar just to see him bartend.
Really?
Yeah,
He was kind of like a show bartender type.
he was just good at making drinks, and he had like this charisma that was just like, it's
Yeah.
boastful and arrogant, but it's also cool as hell. Like, you want to be around it,
Right.
you know?
It's fun to see that stuff. It's like drinking a show type of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So from there, I just switched my major to tourism hospitality management. And I told myself, I am gonna work in every cool joint that opens up. So any cool bar that opened up, I was there.
Yeah,
Nice.
Because I just wanted to know why is it there and why did this guy,
What made them successful?
take the risk to set it up. And at the time, Rapid City projects like that was they were unheard of and they didn't make sense. But now looking back, they're way ahead now.
yeah,
Right.
So while I was going to school, that's where I met my wife, and she got a job here, and we talked about who's gonna move, and it was either sticking in Rapid City. She moved here and said, "Hey, it's a lot cheaper in Norfolk." So I came down, and I remember the first drive was coming through Norfolk Avenue, and you got like the trees and the lights, and it looked amazing. But then I was like, "There's nothing in the storefront."
no,
Right.
So people are missing out on how beautiful Norfolk is.
yeah,
And if you're driving through Norfolk Avenue at 25 miles an hour, you can't really take it in. So went home and I started drawing up a plan. I'm telling my wife, man, I'm going to open up a joint in downtown Norfolk and I'm going to fill up those parking lots. And she's looking at me like, you crazy. I'm
So
like,
at that
"No."
point, you hadn't even done any chef work or nothing yet?
No, I did a couple of chef stints.
Did you?
In Rapid City. So
Okay.
first joint was an Italian restaurant called Botticelli's. That was crazy.
I'm sure.
It was family owned, some mother, daughter, and they did big numbers.
Yeah.
And I struggled in that kitchen because the volume we were doing. And then from there, I went to it's like a French style restaurant. It's called the Wine Cellar. The chef's name was Pamela Light. She was pretty awesome. Small restaurant. I think she only had like 20 tables. And we'd only open from 4 o'clock to 9. But like the dishes she put down was like super simple. The smallest kitchen you'll ever see. If you ever go to Rapid City, go to the Wine Cellar restaurant and ask them nicely to show you the kitchen. It's the size of this room.
I'm sure.
Really?
That doesn't
There
surprise
was
me.
no moving room. Like during your shift, we're
You're just
passing
standing
things. Yeah, we're just passing things. But I saw that, and before you think like restaurant kitchens are supposed to be this ginormous line, and you have like 20 people in there. But no, she was doing it in a small kitchen like that. So I took note.
Right.
And then from there, I went to the Corner Exchange. So it was owned by Chef MJ Adams, and she was a James Beard Award nominee. I didn't even know what those were at the time, but I know everybody wanted to eat at her restaurant, and her style was different. She's only booked every day of the week. She only takes reservations, and hopefully if one cancels, then maybe a walk-in will fit in. But she was really nice. She was one of those like, guest comes in and she's full. She's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm full right now. But if you just go down the street, there's a couple of good restaurants." So I learned a lot French style from her for the dishes and wine. Sorry about that.
You're okay.
And wine, and then she closed. So she was done. Like by that time, she was like, "I'm ready to get out of this business." And I went to a couple of buddies of mine. So I used to DJ. That's when
I can
like
see
So
you
you've done a
doing
little
that.
bit of everything.
yeah, I'm telling you, I like the nightlife. Like,
Yeah.
that was the thing. Like,
Yeah.
that's where the excitement is.
So you're a social butterfly type. Like you just like people, being around a lot of people. I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
so those were my drinking days. So I wanted to be the life of the party, but I also wanted to be able to
Make money doing it.
make money doing it, and hold a conversation because it takes a lot.
Yeah.
It's a different world. Like, you sleep during the day,
Right.
and when the sun goes down, that's when the work starts because people want to go out and eat. People want to go out and socialize and have cocktails. And so, I was DJing with a bunch of buddies, and they opened up a hookah bar called Ifrit's Hookah Lounge, and I worked there for a minute, and then there's a hotel. It's called Alex Johnson Hotel. They opened up a rooftop bar. It was called Vortex. I was like, I need to bartend up there. So I got a gig there.
A rooftop bar in Sioux Falls
in Rapid City.
or Rapid City, I meant.
The Alex Johnson Hotel. It's called Vertex. Pretty nice bar. Like, it's super nice.
Yeah.
That was actually the first rooftop bar up there. So there was that one, and then I did another stint at. If you've been to Rapid City, there's a place, Main Street Square. And they finished that up. So Botticelli's, and then across the street was a parking lot. But then they made it into a nice arena, and then there's like retail stores.
Yeah.
And there was a chef. His name was Pete. He really took a liking into like what my abilities were. Because at that time, I was like killing it. Like any job, like I'd literally just walk in and then give me a gig. And like every human being, you get cocky at some point, right?
Right.
So I let it get to my head. Hey, you guys need me now because I have this skill. And Pete opened up a joint called Manchegos, and it was supposed to be like a Spanish tapas. And for Rapid City, it was a little bit too foreign because tapas style, it doesn't all come out at once. You got to like one plate at a time, and it struggled a little bit. And then he sold it to the gentleman that owns the firehouse. I forgot what his name is. And then Pete also owned a restaurant called Del Monico Grill. So he was a well-known chef.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was working at Manchegos, one of my shifts, I went out the previous night and I slept in, and he calls me. Because most of the time I never miss work. But
Right.
I was just like, I don't need to go. And they're good. But he saw something in me. Like, he called me and he left me a voicemail. And he's like, yo, I don't appreciate you not showing up for your shift. And he was super disappointed. I've never pissed off anybody like that. But the way he left the voicemail, I didn't even call back. But then a few years later, he ends up dying of cancer. And that has stuck to me till today. Like, that voice, I told myself I will never put an employer in that situation to where they're that disappointed.
Where it wasn't really the anger, it was the disappointment that hurt you.
Yeah, like he saw a lot of potential, but I was just dicking around and not taking it seriously because I guess he knew like there's a promise in what I was capable of doing, and I was just like, I was young at the time. You know, when you're young, no one can tell you anything. You think you know all of it. So, right after that, that's where now things start going left. You know, I'm just like, oh, I can go to work whenever and make a kill it that day, and I don't have to go in. And the food culture, let me tell you, console culture was in the food culture before it even came in.
I'm sure.
Your reputation can tarnish in like a day.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, because word goes around. If you're good, everybody knows, like, yo, that guy over there, when he's working, you'll get the best out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But once people get sick of, oh, Danny didn't come in today, or, man, Danny's not performing well, he's a hangover today, and then they just start losing interest slowly to where, man, all the nice spots now are just like, nah, dude.
We don't want to deal we
Yeah.
ain't gonna deal with a headache type of thing.
No.
Yeah.
So, and that's when I realized, all right, now this partying thing is a little bit not manageable. So I took a step back, and I remember going to a bar, and I sat down, and I was the dude, like, when you're at the bar, like, I want to make everybody happy, so I'm the dude, like, buying everybody shots and trying to get this part. I walk into, like, a quiet bar, and I'm like,
Let's party. Let's go.
Bartender, line them up.
That's funny.
I'm like, bartender, line them up. Who's playing music tonight? You know? And I'd get the place going at my expense.
Yeah.
Right.
So I remember one night, like, I walk into this joint, and I sat down, and I asked the bartender, hey, that bottle up there, how much is a shot? And she was like, $60. And I was like, I'll take a shot of that. And I don't know what kicked in, but I took the shot, and I was like, damn, that's $60.
Right.
Gone.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not full. I don't have any energy. I don't feel intelligent, and nothing changed after that. So I was like, all right, that was my last shot, and I've never drank since then. And I took my steps back, and I got with a dude named Blake Edelman. He was a chef at Mafia's and Cole. And I remember coming into him and still cocky, right? Because I've been cooking and I've worked with all these good chefs. I'm like, I can outcook this guy. Because there were 2 new restaurants. And I was like, I can outcook this guy. And he humbled me good. Because he put me in his kitchen. And I guess he had heard that I was talking my shit. And I remember he's like, yo, Daddy, so I have a party coming in and I need you to go to the store, get the seafood, get this, put a menu together, and knock it out. And what time is the party? 5:30. It's 4 o'clock. Ooh, man.
That's funny.
But, experiences like that and that exposure. But he took me under his wing. And I'd say this time I'm not screwing it up.
Yeah.
And he showed me how to build menus, how to put dishes together. And then we started, so it was a bar named Murphy's. And
So like I'm going to go back to that. You just he just didn't give you any guidance, just said, you go get whatever and make a menu for a party in an hour and a half. Like, just no idea what you're getting. So you said, oh, I want to serve this, and this, basically, or what?
Because I'd say I'm able to cook him any day. Because he was a new guy. I don't know this guy,
So how did that party go?
He helped me. I remember he told me this called the duck. You know how like duck breasts have like the skin on top.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, it's called that duck. I'm over there taking the skin off. Like, dude, what are you doing? But he helped me out with that, and then he was like, all right, I learned my lesson, So I started listening to what he's telling me. And I put the ego thing aside and said, maybe this guy can teach me more than I think I know.
Yeah.
And fast forward to today when I was doing 411, like when I was opening up 411, he was opening up his joint in North Dakota. It's called 46 and North Pines Provision. So we still communicate. He checked on me. He was like, hey, make sure you have this and this on your business plan and make sure your drawings look like this. And he sent me an Excel spreadsheet of how he was doing his, and I, went in there and made mine, and I was like, yo, what do you think, Blake? He's like, yeah, I look good. So
That's awesome.
But yeah, that's.
I'm glad you told the story about the drinking, because I was going to ask you when you stopped drinking. So I'm glad you told the story. So that's kind of a cool story, though. You just took a $60 shot and was like, I'm done.
Yeah, I was like, man. I mean, there's nothing wrong taking a $60 shot. It's just.
It wasn't worth what you were wanting to do out of life.
Yeah, right? And there's this value that people put on things like that.
Right.
Material things. Like
to me, like I look back, like me and my buddies would go to a bar and the whole night we ordering bottle service. And I was like, now I look back at it and I'm like, damn.
That's a lot of money.
There's a lot of money and
not much came out of it.
I'm not hanging out with them because everybody already went their own direction, doing their own thing. What their memories made, absolutely. I have no regrets.
Right.
Yeah. But I learned from that. And there's a time for everything. I think I outgrew it. And once you outgrew it, I mean, can you imagine me right now in a club? I'd be like the oldest guy. I don't even know the dance moves. I don't even know the songs. So, but that was my time. So, I leave it for the young guys. Let them make those mistakes, and the ones who figure it out, they'll figure it out.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm always ready to take on like the responsibility Blake took on when he knew
to bring the next one or to find somebody that's got the ability to.
Yeah, and that's what I do with my projects downtown is to identify those guys who are in my position, and then
So going back to what you said about downtown, you drove down, saw how amazing it looked.
Yeah.
And the one thing I wanted to say is that you see a lot of people in town. When you're living in it, you don't always see the beauty.
Yes.
And that happens a lot, and especially in Norfolk. And I'm sure it happens everywhere, but you see it a lot in Norfolk. How people just don't see the beauty in things. And you drove down and you saw that. So walk us through any kind of hurdles you had opening 411, any kind of problems that came arise? Why did you want to do it in the first place?
It felt right at the time, and it was one of those like before I even started doing the planning. So I'd come down here to check out Norfolk when my wife moved out, and I was here for I believe 2 months, and that was back in 2014, and Black Cow opened right around that time, and I think I was there for day one, like when they flipped the gas and everything. And while I was working there, I think I did like a month. And then I went back to Rapid City. And when I went back to Murphy's and did 2-year stint working with Blake. And I was confident enough, like where my skill was when I left and came back 2 years later. Go back to the line on Black Cow, and I loved it. It was cool. It was a good place to work. It's busy. I like that adrenaline rush of the line, and getting bucked up and digging yourself out of that hole. I like that challenge. It's addictive, And but as I was doing it, there was always something in the back of my mind asking me, like, so with this knowledge and this skill, right? What else can I do with it? Okay. And I had menus and recipes that I wanted to share with other people. And I don't mind doing specials in someone else's restaurant, but if I can put my name on the dishes that I'm putting out, it says a lot.
Yeah.
And that was the challenge I was up for.
So you were like making specials over at Black Cow Fat Pig also?
Yeah.
Under Black Cow Fat Pig, but they were your recipe, your design.
And I probably knew this, but I guess I didn't remember that you worked there. That's my bad.
Well, not a lot of people knew I worked there because I was a quiet guy. I was new in town, and I didn't have a lot of friends. It was just my wife and I, and that was pretty much it. But I was set. Like, I knew with my background in Rapid City and working all those small restaurants, it was just now scouting for the right space. Right. And if I can take what they're doing over there and place it in the right spot, and downtown Norfolk and downtown Rapid City are pretty similar. They have 2 main streets going the opposite way, and like the layout is exactly the same.
Yeah.
So just went back home and I started like drawing up like the plan and how I want everything to look like, and the space. And I looked at a couple of buildings, talked to a couple of owners, and then one day I was leaving Black Cow after the shift, and I was driving by Norfolk Avenue in the space where 411's at was in the middle of a demo process, and there was a big, for rent sign and a phone number. So I called the number, and some guy answers. He's like, "Hey, how can I help you?" I'm like, "My name is Danny. I'm interested in the space."
Gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, you gotta start somewhere, because I didn't have any background on how any of that works.
Yeah,
right.
So like, hey,
but making the phone call.
Yeah, just making the phone call. 2 things can come out. They can say yes, and they can say no. I got a lot of no's, a lot of I don't know what you're thinking about, but that doesn't work here type deal. But so I make the phone call, and we set up a meeting. So I come in, and this tall guy wearing glasses. He's like, "Hey, how you doing?" "I'm good. It's Russ Wilcox. My name is Danny." He's like, "So how can I help you, bud?" I'm like, "Well, I came in last night, and they were in the middle of demo, and I walked around the space because the guys were nice enough to let me in, and I think I like the space, and I'd like to put a restaurant in here." So I think while they were doing the demo, there was no set plan for what it was going to be, because it was 2 spaces, and they have 2 different addresses. So I come in, and I'm sitting here talking about, I want to do a restaurant in here, and they had not envisioned a restaurant in there. So I was like, let me tell you, I see a bar in the middle, I see a kitchen over here, and I see bathrooms over there. That was it.
Yeah.
And big windows. Well, original plan was it was supposed to be those bifold windows, so it opens up to the sidewalk. Because I wanted people to experience that feel of the downtown walk and the trees and all that. And he's like, this is Nebraska, right? We got flies. What do you think about just big windows? I'm like, all right. But yeah, he was cool, and he was like, hey, he hooked me up with a dude named Lauren Kuchera, put the business plan together, and started looking for funds. And long story short, we're here today. Wasn't the best time to do it? Yes. I know a lot of people say, COVID helped mess up a lot of restaurants, but for me, it actually helped me out a lot.
So you guys did delivery.
Yeah, but funny thing about that delivery thing, it wasn't even in the plan, and just the same way COVID wasn't on the plan. Yeah. But we opened October 19th. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. If just a little going down memory lane, I was actually there for your first party. For Wyland had their 35th anniversary.
Oh, is that the one we brought? You guys brought tables.
It might have been. I can't remember. But
we didn't have tables yet.
My first sale at 411. Yeah, that was her. She called me and she was like, I want to have a party there. I'm like, my furniture's not even here yet. We'll bring tables.
It was a good time. I had salmon. It was really good.
So they brought their own tables, chairs, and I was like, great. Well, I'll use this time to teach the kitchen guys how to put everything together.
Yeah, right.
And I had
because you didn't have a liquor license yet at that time.
No, I didn't have a liquor license yet. It was like soda.
Where did we all get? We got our alcohol some. I don't even remember. I don't remember what it was, but I knew we couldn't drink there when we were. Yeah. So everybody went and got pretty hammered before we came to. But
it went well. Like I had a dude from. So at the time, like, to get personnel, I try to help out the dudes from the halfway house, right? Because I could relate. They go through like all sorts of shenanigans. But there's a dude. What was his name? I think his name was Mike.
I know Michael.
Michael,
Yeah,
dude.
He's okay. Michael's my cousin.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Michael is a legend. I don't care what
Michael's
anybody
a really
says.
good cook.
He's a really good cook because. So I had all these guys from the halfway house, and then he walks in through the back door when I'm having a meeting, and he's like, "Hey, what's up? My name is Michael," and I'm like, "All right, did his paperwork, blah blah blah," and I give him the menu, and he prepped the whole menu.
He's good. He's
in
a good
one
cook.
day. He showed everybody how to put it together. Once the truck came and. The reason why we were able to do that party because it was on I believe it was on a Saturday or Sunday.
It was on a weekend. That's all I remember. Yeah. And he was there for that party.
Yeah,
that we were in.
Because he prepped that party, and then it was like, dude, we could open even on Monday. I was like, yeah, my man. But man, so we did that, and fast forward to today. It is what it is. But going back to October, right? So we opened up in October, and then COVID happens. But when you open a new restaurant, you normally get that rush of people.
Everybody wants to try it right away.
Everybody wants to try it right away. And you have all these people working that are not experienced. You're trying to create a model that works. And to get everybody to beat the same drum, that first, was it for 3 months? That first 3 months, it was just pure chaos, firing people left and right, and trying to get everybody to understand the concept because it was very foreign, and I mean we were just.
Well, you had unique dishes.
Yes.
You were doing a lot of unique dishes that is different for this area.
And you were putting in a lot of hours.
Oh yeah. I was there I remember 5:30 in the morning, till midnight.
Well, then you cook through rush, and then you sit at the bar and do the order for the next. Yeah. I remember you sitting there and just.
But so when COVID happened, it slowed things down for me, right? So now. Because we were closed for, I believe, a month or two. So that now, I took all that experience and all the data I had from those first opening months, And I said, okay, now I know what to fix.
And you could focus on certain things.
Yep. So I brought the kitchen guys back, and I said, all right, you guys are gonna be cooking, and I think we laid off all the servers because we weren't taking any tables. And I go home, and my wife just finished the website, and it was on a Sunday. She finished the website, and then we had like this app that the POS system uses. It's called Smart Online Order. So it links up with Wix and gives you an option for online ordering. And this is before COVID.
Right.
So while she's making everything and she puts the buttons, I was like, I think we can do online ordering. It'd be cool if someone could just order steak. Because every time you want something delivered, it's just pizza.
Or,
Yeah. It'd be nice to have a burger ordered to you and you just, have it right out your door. And then I tell her, send that order. I'm going to drive to the restaurant and see if it shows up in the kitchen. And I get there and I'm like, holy crap. We are doing deliveries.
That's really cool.
So, and this is before COVID. So I remember putting a sign up, hey, we can do deliveries. And those people were making fun. I'm like, why would I deliver a burger? Why would I have a burger, a steak delivered to me when I can just go to the restaurant?
Yeah.
And then COVID happens. So now
And then everybody's doing it now.
the system is already in place. So it was really easy to just,
Yeah.
tell the kitchen, you guys cook. A server, you can run the deliveries or put the bags together, the takeouts and that. So while that's happening, I'm training the kitchen guys now to the workflow, ticket times, and the prep, and trying to get the logistics down and how
Basically practicing like you talked about your practice.
Benefited you.
So yeah, because back in the day, restaurants didn't get that chance. It was like you just have to tough it through, and so that break, like, it helped out a lot. So, but
That's cool.
That's really good. I mean, we've had a few people say that COVID was a not a
Decent
benefit,
thing.
but it was a decent thing for them, and that's another cool story that COVID actually did help you out because it slowed everything down and let you kind of lay the groundwork for what you were going to do.
It's kind of like having a soft opening, basically.
Yeah.
Like you soft opened and you saw what worked, what didn't work, and then you had a chance to just refocus.
Yeah.
And okay, this is what we need to go.
And then they also had those grants, like the employee retention credits and all that.
Yeah, did you take advantage of that?
I use that to train people because without that, back in the day, you would have to come out of your pocket for training.
Well, yeah, because you had just opened. So like you weren't open for long enough to have like a fund to be able to pay your staff.
Yeah, so that helped. I use all that to train people, and I made sure they were trained well. So because they want to just come in and work and not know if they're gonna get paid during COVID. So I just told them, yo, you're good. Just show up, get better. The ones I don't want to take this seriously, I really don't have to keep them. But the ones that are sticking around, you're good because
we'll be partners in this together. You treat me well, I'm gonna treat you well. If you don't treat me well, then you're gonna find out you're on your own.
Have you had much turnover on the kitchen staff?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. One thing I always tell the crew in the restaurant is this is not a lifetime job. This is a job that you're doing while you're waiting for something good to come through. Right. So, but while you're doing it, I will give you the exposure and I'll give you all the resources you need. So when something good comes around, you're well prepared.
Yeah. So it seems I just looking at your social media posts, it seems like you have must be your same like wait staff or bartenders or everything. The ones that kind of run your social media been with you for quite a while. It seems like I see them on there a lot.
They've come a long way. It was easier for me to train a bartender than to hire a bartender. Because a seasoned bartender, they want to duplicate what they've already known.
Yeah.
And they're not open to new ideas. And the bar we run on 411 is not an easy bar because those girls build those cocktails.
Right.
There's a recipe.
They're more of a mixologist type bartender.
Yeah. So you don't want to overserve to where it's burning. And you don't also want to disguise the flavor because if you're coming, my goal is not to get people drunk.
Yeah.
I want people to have a cocktail. I'm not there to try and sell 20 cocktails to one person. I could rather sell 2 really, really good, well-made cocktails and get the gratification out of that.
It's more of the experience type of deal, like flavor experience.
Yeah.
It's the experience, and it's also social responsibility that falls on me.
Right.
Right. Because I know liquor is good, right? But it also has its limits.
Yeah.
Right.
And I as long as I'm doing what I'm doing, I don't want to have the guilt being that where Norfolk is right now, and from when I came in and I started, right? If I came in with the mentality, I want to just come and get everybody drunk every night, right? I'm not helping,
Yeah.
Right.
right? Like, you know how college towns are,
Right.
Oh yeah.
right?
Right.
So, but if I can moderate it and show people there's also another way of enjoying cocktails beyond, just getting plastered and calling it a really good night.
Right.
So there's that part, and I know the effects of alcohol, and I have to play a responsible role on how I serve it. And there's
Right.
2 ways that I had to choose, and I had to choose a more responsible and well organized way, to where when you indulge in it, it is for leisure and not to create chaos.
Right.
So
Makes sense.
I like that. And you're more of a restaurant anyways, so like you're not a bar.
Yeah.
You
and
have a bar.
well-crafted restaurant too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
But
it's an experience. Yeah.
But right now I have 2 bars downtown.
Yeah.
So and this is also like when I was in Iowa City. I remember there's this one dude. He had 6 other bars on the college town, and in a given weekend, there was either 3 bar fights
Right.
on each bar, and a couple of citations here and there, here and there. Then you ask yourself, so
Why do I want to
what
deal
is
with
his
that?
role? Yeah.
Yeah.
Does he
Right.
care? If some kid got beat up in his bar to a pub, what is his role? Is he able to control that? Because the moment he's not able to control that, then he's in the business for the wrong idea.
Yeah.
Right.
And I like that. And you talk about having 2 places. The atmosphere in both of them it's a laid back atmosphere. It doesn't put you on edge. It puts you at a calming,
Right.
like you said, drinking for leisure type of
Yeah.
thing. So
So
You okay with taking a quick pause?
yeah, man.
Okay. Cool. All right, we're back. We kind of had to take a little break. You know me, about an hour in, I got to pee. So, but going back to your cocktails and you really fashion those, they're well made cocktails.
Yes.
So it's an art. It takes a while. Going back, you kind of said, do you have any staffing issues? Do you have a lot of turnover? I know restaurants have it, but is there a lot of turnover there?
There's a lot of turnover, but I wouldn't necessarily term it as a staffing issue. To me, it's finding the right people that I'm able to share the vision with, and then in line with it, and then taking it and running with it. So every personnel that I have up to now, they've kind of embodied this vision. We share one common goal, right? And they understand it. And it's not forced. It's not forced, right? It's organic. It's mutual. And the funny thing is, I've had people try to challenge it. They'll come
your
in.
staff, you mean?
Yeah, they'll come in and not have an idea or an understanding of what we're doing, and they have conflicts with that. So, yeah, I'll give you an example. Someone comes in and they want to work at 411 as a server. They're expecting the typical restaurant environment where there's one guy and he leads the sheep. But my approach is different from that. I give him the tools, I give him the training they need, and I tell them the reason why, I don't know if you come to any of the joints, none of the staff wears uniforms.
Yep.
And the reason why I tell them not to wear uniforms and to dress the way they would always dress. Is I want them to maintain their identity, and I want people to be able to relate to them as an individual. Because I work places where and there's nothing wrong with it, but I work places where they give you a uniform and a name tag, and while you're in there, that's what you identify with.
Because everybody looks the same at that point.
Everybody looks the same, but the moment you walk out, a customer who's there every day might not even recognize you
because you're wearing something different.
Because you're wearing something different. So I want the staff's personality to show, and the reason why I thought that was the best approach is coming to a place like Norfolk, where I don't know how things operate. I don't know what the culture of how things are. That is the best way to showcase a community is those individuals, how they dress, how they talk, and then how they conduct themselves. And when it's just pure like that, it means more. So you'd have people coming in and they have conflicts with so you want me to come in, dress the way I dress, and perform in a professional manner? Yes. Because not only does it highlight who you are, but it also showcases your potential that can be overlooked when you go to other businesses. Because I remember working at a lot of bars, and that's how I was able to network. Because someone would come in and be like, hey, man, I know you're slinging drinks, but I had a job that I think you'd be really good at.
Yeah.
Because they see who I am and they put me in that particular environment. And that's what I try to encourage. And most people would have conflicts with that because they're used to the regular restaurant regime where there's only one person running this show and we just follow. But at 411, I tell them, what do we call it? Distributive authority.
Right.
So I'm not the only one with the ideas. I'm not the only one with the creativity. It is collectively everyone, and we'll tap into each and every individual's best.
I could also see not doing the if somebody was in a uniform, it creates a less personal responsibility, whereas you're just kind of you're hiding behind that uniform, whereas if you're not wearing it, you give them, it's your responsibility to wear what you normally wear. Just don't come in looking like I'm not going to allow you to look, that type of thing. So it creates a little bit of personal responsibility to take pride in yourself, and what you are putting out to the world. And you can take that in your job. You can take that at your personal life. You can, and I like that. That helps build.
I like that approach.
I think that
a lot.
builds their character and stuff. I like you doing that.
Yep.
I know you're not a big fan of social media.
Used to be. Back in MySpace days.
MySpace was top 5.
See my MySpace page.
Yeah. Did you have music on yours? I had music on mine.
I had Kobe Bryant on there.
It's the year of the Mamba.
MySpace was my social media.
MySpace was
time.
dope, yeah.
And then, dude, I remember when Facebook came out, and it was only on
college campuses.
College campuses.
That's when I got mine at UNL. I was at UNL, and that's the only place you could have it was at colleges.
And then, once it went, I don't know. Yeah. I lost track.
Yeah, it kind of went crazy after that.
Yeah.
So, do you see any of the posts that pop up about 411 at all, or do you see much on social media?
I've heard of one. I think I made someone angry, and it wasn't intentional.
Right.
It was just me doing what I feel is the right thing to do.
Can you? Do you know which one was that?
Yeah, it's the sticker on the window for no guns.
So we would love for you to explain your philosophy on that one.
Well, like I said, I have a social responsibility.
Yep.
Right, as I'm conducting commerce, right, and I don't have any issue. It is the guilt, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to wait for a situation to happen to learn from the guilt, because that's a burden that you can avoid to wear if you can avoid it, right?
Yeah.
So, in an establishment where my main thing is I want people to eat the food we cook and to indulge in the cocktails. That's it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter anything else,
Right.
right? And the firearm thing, I don't care if anyone brings in a firearm. I don't care if anyone doesn't bring in a firearm.
I was going to comment on that post, and I was going to say people can carry one. He's not going to like be patting people down.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
You go ahead.
But
You go ahead.
But check this out. I'm just writing a scenario, right?
Yeah.
Someone walks in with a firearm, and people are a little edgy nowadays. Because I've had customers yell at me because I didn't want to soft ketchup, and let me tell you, they were pissed because I didn't soft ketchup, so I brought ketchup.
That's all right. I
you
think
know?
ketchup is trash anyways. So.
But you know what I mean? Like I've had customers that would come in and they're pissed because the server is not living up to par with service, and they're angry.
They're angry,
right?
I can get that.
And in an environment where I'm serving alcohol, poor judgment is there, right? And let's just say out of anger,
on the worst case scenario.
On the worst case scenario, something bad was to happen. Okay, justified or not justified, I have to live with it.
Yeah.
Right. So what I'm saying is, when
You're
it
just
comes
covering
down,
your
it
bases.
says, it just says, look, I acknowledged it, right? But I'm not I'm not saying that it shouldn't be allowed, right?
Right.
I'm just acknowledging it. So if people question and say, how could you let this happen in your premises? It's like, look, I'm taking notice.
Post up there.
You're watching your liability. Yeah, I get it.
And I'm saying, look, I'm aware of the situation, but I'm giving people an option.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes or no.
Yep.
But and that's pretty much it. But in terms of like getting into response or anything like that, I don't think it's needed because it's out of the realm of what I do.
Well, you own the place. It's your choice.
Yeah, but I'm sharing it with the public.
Yeah.
Right.
Gotcha.
And I also want the public to feel accommodated in there.
Yeah.
And if you ever come into any of the joints, one, they're not particular on who comes in. If you look at my staff, I have a very diverse staff. I've always preached on having a very diverse staff, and it's going back to like that uniform policy. You know, there might be people who can't even afford to, buy the nice expensive clothes, but they can still come to work because they can wear what they can afford.
Yep.
Right.
And look presentable.
And
like
look
you said.
presentable. And I've seen people in there with suits, and I've seen them sit next to someone who just got done with their construction job, and it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Right. At the end of the day, they all eat the same way.
Yep.
Right. I'm just offering an environment where it's more comfortable to do it in a nice setting. Right. And it's all inclusive. Because the moment I close up that and just have it all add like exclusivity, I'm leaving people out. Right. And I've never done that. So and that's why I never felt the need to respond, because I know what I'm doing.
We weren't trying to beat you up on it.
No, I'm not. And that's not.
No,
I wanted to give you a platform.
Yeah.
To be able to give you a response if you wanted to.
Yeah. But at the end of the day,
because I know you, so I know that it wasn't like a malicious thing against the Second Amendment or.
No,
right?
I think it was taken out of context. One, and it was publicity.
Well,
you got people talking for a week. I was kind of mad because
bad publicity is good publicity.
Yeah,
is what they say.
We say that all the
but
time.
you know what I took from that? Because trying to remember, someone sent it to me and I looked at it, and I read through all the comments.
I did too.
And they're beneficial comments because that is data that I didn't have that I can take, download, and say, okay, I think we need to fix service because doesn't look like service is good.
That's what I was asking too.
And I will look at it as the service thing. I don't really care. I mean, I've been to everywhere and had bad service at a time. Maybe it was just a bad time.
But I don't go and I don't go. And
I've
post
never bitched about bad service. I don't like that.
I just on to the next one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But to me, it's useful information.
Yeah,
right. And
it's good to know for you
because back in the day, you didn't have that data. So you're sitting there and that's the only good thing that comes out of social media is the data is available right away, and you can fix it right away. So what I did was, I got the crew together and I was like, hey man, there's some people really mad about service. I know you do good service, but I think we can step it up a notch a little bit. And they were like, yo, yeah, that's not cool. I'm like, yeah, man, we're representing Norfolk, and if we're gonna represent, we won't make everybody happy, but I think we can try and persuade that we are capable of doing things right. And I'm not perfect, right? Neither am I.
All it takes is
neither the crew. But the one thing I took away that I have to show is, regardless of the differences, I'm still listening.
Yeah,
right.
And I'm acting upon it. And the way I'm acting upon it is, it's not gonna take away, this happening to someone else or happening again, right? But if I have the blueprint on how to approach it to where it is not causing conflict or it's not disrupting the order that's there.
Yeah, I'm huge on that. Like as I'm an assistant supervisor, but I'm huge on because I mess up. I'm not perfect. Yeah. But I'll own it. If I mess up, it is what it is. I'm going to do better. Yep. I don't want to hear excuses. I don't want to hear blaming somebody else. If if I say, hey, this is what happened, can we do something better? And somebody says, yeah, I can work at that. Yeah, maybe I messed that up. Maybe I did this. Maybe I did that. And that sounds like when you talk to your staff, that's what you're saying they did. Like, yeah, maybe we're a little bit slower. We can do better and we'll work harder at it. And I respect that out of people. Like that tells me you're a good person if I hear that from you.
It's a good source of encouragement because you know what would bother me the most? If everybody every day is walking around telling you how good you're doing every day, and you're walking around thinking, man, I make no errors because I'm that
first error is gonna hurt you.
But in hindsight, you might be missing out on because when someone tells you you're doing this wrong,
gives you a chance to fix it.
It gives me a chance to fix it, and while I'm fixing it, I will learn a new system on doing things that I would not have known until someone told me, hey, you're doing this wrong.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you to date, like since I got into this venture, even like back in my cooking days down in Rapid City, every time someone told me I'm doing wrong, I'll go and try to learn how to fix it. And while I'm learning how to fix it, I'll gather other new information and be like, oh man, on top of this, now I got this new stuff that I can, add to it. So
it's growth.
It's huge growth. So
I wish we could have 200 comments on a post about us.
Really?
So,
well, I didn't even know I had that influence. That
there was almost 200 comments on that post.
Yeah,
isn't that crazy? For and against. So I mean, it was.
But till today, I'll be honest with you. To me, 411 is not that big of a deal. Like I don't feel it. Yeah, I don't feel it that way, and I don't let myself feel it that way because I know the moment I get to that point, it'll disrupt and it'll create chaos.
Yeah, kind of like we talked earlier. You said there's always somebody coming.
Yeah.
So if you just get complacent, then somebody else is going to come in and be better.
Yeah, you're a very humble guy, though.
But you have to have that self-control. Because might come up, I remember all the good chefs.
Yeah,
they were mean and cocky.
Right.
Yeah, they were to be feared.
It's the same thing as a doctor, though. We talked about that with Jose Nuno.
Yeah.
I want my doctor, I want my chef to be a little cocky because then I know they know what they're doing.
Well,
a little cocky but humble.
Right.
Humble
humble. Yeah.
But those days are gone. Like I've worked in kitchens where the chef would walk in and he's about to punch everybody in the line, right? And just the way they talk, and we are past that, Like what's that show with the dude?
Gordon Ramsay, Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, that's TV show.
Yeah.
There's no way you can tell me people can cook like that under pressure and perform well.
Right.
Yeah.
And the reason why when you come to 411 you'll see I have an open kitchen, because for the longest time I was working in good restaurants and the guest doesn't even know like
what's going on.
What's going
I
on
like
back
the open
there,
kitchen
and
concept.
The cooks don't get the exposure other than we'll just put like a social media tag of look at the guys on the line and this is what happens, right?
Right.
Well, if you peel back those layers and let the guests be also a part of what's going on in the kitchen, not only does it help the kitchen stuff to have a purpose, right? But they're also rewarded because they're part of the dining service that night.
Right.
Yeah.
The interaction with the servers, the staff. Sometimes I have guests come by and tell them, "Hey, good job." You never get that when the kitchen's closed,
Right.
Yeah.
right?
Because
They'll send you a letter. I remember they'd give a server a letter. Hey, tell the cook. And sometimes the servers is like so busy and they forget.
They forget to tell them.
But it's just those small things that gives someone the energy to want to come back tomorrow,
Yeah.
right? And live up to it.
Ownership.
Yes.
It creates ownership.
So, but other than that, I think that's all I got to say about that subject. And if it makes anything cool, calm, and collected, if I can say, hey, out of the 200 comments, I'm sorry if you're mad. I've moved on from it, and progress doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Progress.
And I do want
doesn't
people
stop.
to know that we already had you scheduled before Christmas, so this is not because of the post either.
Yep. No. It's,
Yeah,
we
but
talked about this
We already
before
had
the
we
post.
already had you scheduled. So
I guess
just wanna
I
make
was
sure.
supposed to discuss it. I was supposed to the way
Don't
things
ever
are.
engage on social media. So it's a good place. You're on a good platform to be able to give your opinion. Engaging on there would have been. I don't think it would have been for the good, but
Well, I don't even know what I would have written.
Right.
I would be like, oh, which one? I don't even remember what the complaint was. I think it was the service, which I
well, it
get.
wasn't the service. So they said the service was good.
Yeah.
They said that the wait time for the food was quite a while. They said and you never know because they said the restaurant wasn't very full.
Yeah.
You never
But
know.
that you never know what other people ordered.
Yeah.
And then they talked about the sign.
Yeah. So
That was what it was. They said the service was actually good.
That's
It
where
was
I
just
was.
long wait time.
I didn't know which one they wanted me to discuss first. Was it the service part or
Right.
the sign part? Because if I put them together, then I'm talking about two different things
Right.
in one
Yeah.
topic.
Right.
But other than that, I hope they forgive me and we can move on.
Give
past
us
it.
give us your second chance.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even a second chance. Like
Well, a lot of people said they weren't going to come anyway. It's like, well, then why'd you post? Why'd you say anything?
But here's the thing. This is a very small town, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm saying like I hope we're on cool terms is,
Well, we are.
well, with all the other 200 people,
yeah.
right? I don't know. I don't even think I know half of the people on there, and if they see me on the street, like we're cool.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
I think a lot of people, and that's true. That's the way it is. I wouldn't think you have anything to worry about. A lot of people do get a little bit of bravado.
People can hide behind their keyboard.
behind a keyboard.
Yeah, but I'll still run into someone and be like, "Hey, what's up?" I don't want them to be angry at me for for a sign when we can still have like a civil conversation,
Right.
and just be cool and have a beer or just chat.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, here's what I'm taking from. This is a really nice community,
Very.
right?
Yeah.
And I see a lot of potential, and if we can approach it in a more friendlier manner and embrace,
Just a civil manner.
and just embrace. Like, look,
Healthy debate is a good thing.
Yeah, but
Healthy debate.
Person to person debate. Like,
But-
not even. I know debate sounds combative, but it's more conversation. Healthy debate conversation. Differencing of ideas. You can have differing opinions and have a good conversation.
Yeah.
because this is the recipe. It's not that hard. This is why I'd say it's not that hard.
Yeah.
I'm not from here.
Right.
I'm from Kenya.
Yeah.
I came in a place where I didn't know anybody,
Yeah. And you made it work.
and I set up
Successful.
shop, right? And we can sit down like this and chop it up mutually with different backgrounds.
Yeah.
So it's not that hard,
Right.
And it's not.
I've never left
impossible.
America.
But do you see what I mean?
Oh,
Yeah, we see
absolutely.
what you
So that's why I'm trying to say, like, other places it might be really hard because people are going through a lot and they're just like tired of each other and they're angry.
People
and
get fed. They get fed a lot of information that you need to hate this person. You need to hate this person. I think we're really lucky here, and that's kind of what, like Zach, we like this touching bases. We're trying to say, hey, we have a good community here in this area, this region. We're a really nice region if we just listen to each other.
And that's something that's marketable. Because the reason why I'm saying this is, I remember like I called my buddy and I was like, yo, I'm in Norfolk. Where is that at? I'm like, no, it's a town of 2,500. Oh, cool. Thinking of opening up a restaurant there. And the first thing was like, are there any black people there? I'm like, no. Right?
There's a few.
There's a few.
There's a few.
There's a few.
And
but,
we've got
but,
one on the city council.
but do you know what he's going by that is,
Yeah.
how are you going to fit in there?
Right.
Right?
I don't think it matters, though, in my opinion.
In my opinion, it doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
obviously, there's going to be some people,
that
that
would.
it's
But
going to be a
like
problem
I
with.
said, I always like a challenge. I want to prove myself wrong, right?
Yeah.
So was I a little bit skeptical about it? Yes. I was like, well, how will this be perceived? Right? It could go left or right. And that's why that's why I keep saying Norfolk is a very beautiful town and it has really nice people, because it could have gone two ways. It could have said, well, he doesn't fit in and
let's not support him type of thing.
yeah. Because there's this I remember like during they tried to bundle me up in this hey, you should do this group for the black community, or you should do this for what's the term that they normally use? Trying to refresh my mind.
For like social justice type of stuff? Or?
No, not social justice type of stuff. It's like I have people say, hey, you know what, minority.
okay.
For the minority community, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
And they're like, well, you're an example for the minority community. No, I'm an example for everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the moment you put me in a box like that,
Yep.
and you're limiting my outreach.
Right.
You're
And
limiting you. You're limiting everybody at that
Yes.
point. Why can't we all be?
And
Why can't I be I'm not a minority, so I understand that concept. But like, I could be a role model for someone, not me specifically, but somebody like me could be
but we
a
can
role
all,
model.
we can all be
As
entrepreneurs,
Americans,
but
right.
we
We're all
don't have to
Americans.
be put in a box as
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
There's a certain group of entrepreneurs here, and then there's a certain group here, and and then each has a different approach on how you should interact. Right?
Yeah, we're all in one box.
But when I came to Norfolk, I was like, wait a minute, you can't do that, because there's more than just me and other entrepreneurs here, and we're all on the same playing field, right? We're serving one community, and to exclude me and put me in this box limits my outreach.
Yep.
And I stand by that till today.
I love your philosophy on that.
Because not only does it allow people to be more comfortable coming in and not having to feel like, okay, well, I'm going to go open a business in Norfolk, Nebraska, so I need to link up with the black minority community because they'll understand me better and they'll support me a lot better. But then you're leaving yourself out of the other outreaches, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So my goal is, if I can make it more comfortable to where cumulatively, if you're coming to serve to Norfolk, you're not just serving a certain group, you're serving everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Then no one's left out.
Right.
And then we don't have to have that conversation of
Right.
The awkward conversation.
If you go to Chicago and they're like, well, there's like different kind of minority groups. There's like Chinatown, and then you got like the Cuban town, and then you got like Southside Chicago and all that. And then if you go there, it's like they're all serving their own community, but there's interest there. Like I want to go in there and be like, well, teach me something about this so that I can, use it to benefit myself.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's pretty much.
It's kind of cool. Like the one good thing I like about America and everything is it's a culture pot or a melting pot where like I can enjoy other culture, other food that I normally wouldn't get. Going to my grandma and grandpa's. I could go get some really authentic tacos at a food truck or that type of stuff. So it's kind of cool. I enjoy that type of stuff.
What do you say to the people that talk about your pricing sometimes?
Well, let me tell you my pricing, and we're going back to location.
Yep.
Look at where Norfolk is.
Yep.
And where's Lincoln?
Right.
All the distributors are in Lincoln.
Yep.
So if you open up a restaurant in Lincoln, and you can literally drive to the distributor,
pick it up,
to get fresh food,
right? Out here, when I make my menu, and like even cocktails, and I want everybody to enjoy what everybody else out there is enjoying. But what I've figured out is they limit what comes in,
right?
Because let's say back in the day when there's just 3 restaurants. And one of those restaurants is having Guinness non-alcoholic. The other restaurants are not interested. You reach out to the supplier and you're like, hey, I want to order Guinness non-alcoholic. What they do is they allocate it based on region. So we'll ship it to you, but it'll be a little bit difficult for us to always have it for you because not a lot of other restaurants are ordering it there. So we only allocate enough. But when we feel that we are holding it in the warehouse for just one restaurant, it doesn't make sense for us to hold that much inventory because we're not making money on it. Yeah. So we don't ship it over there. And you'll notice at some point everybody has the same product because they only want to ship what everybody else is using.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when I came in and my menu items, majority of the stuff on there, either have to be drop shipped, and I have a hard time sometimes getting them, and they'll charge me extra.
Right?
And these are like minor things, like those baby bakers that everybody likes. Yeah, that's the reason why I run out. It's not like they stock enough for me to have.
Yeah,
right.
Things like salmon. I use like the fresh salmon where you got to peel the skin off.
Yeah.
I'm only able to get salmon once a week. Well, it's fresh salmon. I can order 6 cases, but how long will I hold 6 cases? Right. So if everybody decided to use fresh salmon, like because most of them are allocated in Lincoln and Omaha, those are the good restaurants. So half the time when I go to put in my order, I'm like, oh, no, you can't get it on Tuesday. You allocate 2 cases for Thursday. But if everybody here starts using fresh salmon, then they can stock for this region, and then we can always have it.
Well, it's not going to happen, at least not right now.
Yeah, no. So that's why my prices are the way they are.
I don't think they're overly expensive. Some people do. I'm just saying, like, because we talk about this all the time. What's a burger on your menu right now, cost wise?
$16.
$16.
Yeah.
And on Wednesdays,
25% off all burgers and brews
every Wednesday.
Yep. So
you can go to 411 and get a burger and a side
like $12
for less than a Big Mac at McDonald's.
Yeah. And this is a fresh patty. We lay it on the flat.
It's amazing.
We cut the patties in house.
Even at $16.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's still not bad.
And we've talked about that a lot on both of our podcasts. Like, you pay for what you get. Like, I don't want to go buy just garbage. I'd rather pay for. And you talk about the experience. You're paying for the experience. You're paying for the.
And isn't your pasta made in house?
Some Thursdays we make it in South. Sometimes we
Well, either
order
way.
it in. But here's the thing: everything we put out at 411, all you have to do is walk up. Like those guys, literally, you put in an order in, and we fire it right away.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we have to cook it, and that's why sometimes it takes longer when we're busy
It's fresh.
because we have
Right.
we have to cook it. And when you're in the hole and you got all like sometimes you got the whole restaurant shot at one time, and
You don't have burgers sitting in au jus.
yeah,
put
we
it
don't
that
have
way.
burgers sitting in a shoe. You order it, we throw it down, and we plate it.
Yep.
And that's where the price point's like because these guys have to cook,
Yeah.
right?
And you pay your employees well.
Oh yeah, I've since I opened, I've paid all my employees above minimum wage.
Yep.
Which is funny because this year minimum wage just went to $12, and I was like, I gotta go double check. I was like, holy crap! And the reason why I pay him well is I've been in the industry, man. I don't even think there's a time I made close to what these guys are making.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, man.
And you're
I
paying
remember-
it forward. You're doing the right thing.
I remember like $8.50. You were like, yeah, I gave you 20 cents a raise. Yeah, you're in the line like cuts and buns and but to me it really didn't matter about the pay, as long as I was getting that exposure.
Yeah. If you're getting the right people,
Yeah,
I mean,
because I have friends who
good work is worth whatever you got to pay good work.
Yeah.
honestly.
because I remember I had friends who were. Went down in Chicago. What's that dude's name? Charlie Throttle, French Laundry. They were working for free. Yeah, he didn't pay like the apprentices, like the extra help in the kitchen.
Yeah.
No, for you to make the cut to be like line cook to get paid, you had to know your shit.
There are a lot of restaurants like that. It's almost like an internship type thing.
Yeah, so they were there just to learn for free, and then when they go and add it to their resume, apprenticeship at the French Laundry, boom, head chef.
Yep.
But that's why I was cool, getting paid less, but I'm working right next to this really good chef, and he's teaching me everything I know, and I'm taking down notes, and then I'm seeing, well, he could do this better, but I'll just write it down here, so when I get to the chance to do it,
Then it becomes mine.
yeah, and it's translated to the kitchen stuff. There's a dude who works for me, kid from high school, straight out of high school, man. He walked in.
See the one that rides the hoverboard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He walked in and he had like a suit on. And he shook my hand. He's like, hey, man, I like what you do. I really, really want to cook in your kitchen. And I've seen like tremendous growth. It's been a struggle, like these days but
He's young.
he's young, but I have to pass that on to someone else.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's just how you maintain it. If you look back, like at one point here, there's the lady that owned the Uptown over at Kensington, and then
Yep.
it was popping,
Booming. Yeah.
right? But my time will fade too,
Yeah.
and I have to pass that baton to the next person, and then he'll add his own flavor to it, and it's a very young town, up and coming town, so you need those mentality and those skills.
Yeah, you got to find the right person and kind of go back into like when you were beside these chefs, and sometimes you were learning, sometimes you weren't learning, and then you finally learned that, hey, I'm going to listen to this guy, this Blake guy.
Yeah.
It's kind of reminds me that it's a term I've always heard my whole life from my dad and my grandpa and everybody is you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Yeah.
Like you can teach it anything you want to teach it, but they can either be willing to take it or they won't, and you can't force that upon somebody.
And it's not for everyone, because I remember that line when Blake was our head chef. There was like 12 of us, and out of the 12, 3 of us went out to open their own joints. So
That's a pretty good percentage.
Yeah,
though,
That
really.
is a pretty good
I mean,
percentage.
So for him, I mean, he looks back and he says, you know what? I didn't only lead a group. I created restaurateurs off this.
Right.
And that's what I want to be able to, achieve, is not only having people come in and, sacrifice their time, but to take something away from it and I've seen a lot of tremendous growth. Like the two ladies that run the joint for me, never had any management experience, but that exposure and the amount of work they do, they surprise me every day, and I respect them. They call me out when I'm not getting things done.
Gotta have that.
Because you gotta have that, and it's mutual. I don't take any offense. Like if an employee comes and says, "Hey, Danny, I'm not happy how we're doing this," I acknowledge it and I listen to it because I need that feedback from them as much as they need my feedback too.
Right.
And if people just took the time and immerse themselves to see like what goes on down there, it's special, man.
It is
because they're young.
Yeah.
Right.
I've had great experiences there. So even when the food takes a while, it doesn't bother me any. The atmosphere is great.
Because they're young. Like, give them a break.
Yeah.
You know, if they can just give them a break and let them, learn from their mistakes and also learn from their successes, it gives them that sense of pride.
Right.
And it gives them that feeling of acceptability in their own community where half those guys grew up here in Norfolk. Why are we knocking them?
Right.
You know? Because at the end of the day, you want them to talk good about where they grew up. You want them to have that pride and say, hey, look, like when I was in Rapid City, like all the local guys that I was in the kitchen with, they hyped their restaurants up.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, I remember we'd all go and we'd hang out in a bar, completely different restaurant crew.
Yep.
And we'd just sit and share ideas and laugh about how each and everybody's shift was. And there was this camaraderie that was so authentic and like pretty to have.
Yeah.
And that's what those guys are representing.
Yeah.
You know, and I can't take anything from them. I give them their space and I also give them that respect.
Right.
You know, I'm not in the place to tell them, you know, how to act where they were born and raised.
Yeah.
But I can give them the idea and show them like, hey, highlight this.
Right.
You know? But yeah, that's pretty much.
Is there anything else you want to talk about on 411 at all? I'm going to move on to Fenders.
Oh, I thought we were talking about both.
We haven't really talked about Fenders a whole lot. Yeah, you mentioned it a couple times.
A little bit.
Fenders is a oopsie project.
you and I have talked about it a few times, but like, so how did that idea come about?
Fenders was it's something that was needed on that side of the street because from first to second, there's a lot going on. And then you got like 5th Street to 7th, I guess, where there's like, I think a lumber yard and there's really nothing there.
Yeah.
And I remember like every time I'd step out of 411, especially at night when all the stores are closed and that side of the street would just be dull.
Dark.
You know, and I needed something to balance that out. And we started doing espresso. It was a gourmet coffee at 411. We didn't even talk about breakfast. You know, breakfast wasn't even part of the plan.
I know, but it's so good.
I know that.
It's so good. We didn't talk about it, but I was gonna, but I was like,
breakfast just happened. Yeah, so we started doing espresso cocktails. I mean, gourmet espresso, and we outgrew the space of 411, and I wanted to highlight the art that goes behind making coffee.
Yeah.
And I know there's places like that do it all over the world, all over the country, and this is just that divine guidance. I keep telling my wife, and she laughs at me. She's like, dude, you got to start making plans. You can't just go around talking about this. But this is how weird things happen. Girl comes up, and she's like, hey, we should start doing gourmet coffee. So I went and bought like this little Breville espresso maker from Amazon.
mm-hmm.
And this is at 411. And we start pulling shots with it during breakfast. But after a while, I mean, that thing takes like 5 minutes to steam. And you can't steam milk and pull a shot. You're pulling a shot and steaming milk. So I told her, all right, let's go commercial.
Right.
I didn't know anything about like coffee and all this espresso stuff. She's teaching me about the cups, and that's the other thing. See, I'm learning.
Yeah.
Right.
And she taught me about like the name of the cups, the sizes, I don't know, there's a portafilter and there's like tampering and all that. And I like that because it was new information then. So we set up the commercial one, and while we're doing it at 411, there's also so many other things going on because you got the cocktail program, you got the kitchen, and then now we have breakfast, and then the coffee. It's kind of lost in the midst of all that. So I wanted to highlight it on a separate platform. So we got to talking, and the space came up where Fenders is, and we set it up there. And I was like, wait. Well, if we just do coffee, it's going to be boring because we can't open at night because no one wants to come in and just look at coffee beans. And I was like, well, let's do cocktails and wine and, beer. So during the nighttime, you can get the best of both, or during the day. So didn't even have like drawings. I just drew it on a piece of paper and linked up with the dude, and we built it real quick. And it was mostly inspired by like if you go to Japan, they have like these kiosks all over the place, and like most of the cafes are really small.
I can see that now that you say
because of space, right? So you have like a really small cafe, but some of them have like 3 tables in there, but they have like the window open, and you can sit at the window at the bar. And I wanted to give it that look because it's different, and it adds a little flavor to like the dimensions of downtown, and it's like, what can you play with the space and still make it usable and attractive and unique in its own self. And there was some challenges like the patio, the detached patio,
Yeah.
But once all that came together, I just made up a name that's kind of catchy with coffee, like Folgers coffee, and I was like, Fenders coffee. Yeah, I could drink that, So, and that's how Fenders came to be.
That's awesome. And you had to do all the updates in there, right?
Yeah. And it wasn't a lot. The walls were perfect. It was just painting them black and adding lighting and equipment.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
it's comfortable in there.
I like it a lot.
I've only been there at night, and I've never drank coffee because I'm not a huge coffee guy. I drink coffee every once in a while, but I've just had cocktails and stuff in there.
But it's an alternative to going out. You know, it gives people who would normally not go out for a certain period of time to indulge in the nightlife in a different way.
Yeah.
Because I know there's people who prefer not to be in a bar setting, but they still want to enjoy cocktail outside of the house. So that gives them
something
that
a little
option.
quieter, not super loud. You can have a conversation.
Yes. And I will say the staff over there puts a lot of time in those cocktails.
Oh, yeah. And they fit in just right.
It's great.
They've embraced it really well. And I think it's a little bit ahead of its time. The goal is to scale them to small towns because I think that it fits in just well. It's very modest and it's not too, overreaching. It's just like, because I've lived in every small town, so I can identify. Like what people from small towns are very humble. They're not flashy. It's not like in LA where you wake up and before you step out of your door, you put you want to have like a price for everything you're wearing, and then you want to be seen at Starbucks. You don't even drink it. You just want to hold the cup and walk around and be like, okay, and it's just like, it's very short term fulfillment, but small town people, they're humble. Like, wake up in the morning, brush your teeth, throw on some jeans and a t-shirt, and hit the streets. And I was like, well, what can I do to match that? So, and that's why I think both 411 and Fenders, my goal is I'd like to scale them up to small towns. I'm trying to think like going back to my college days. Did Walmart and what do you call them? The McDonald's guys.
The Waltons is the Walmart.
Yeah, but they had like ideas like that, and these are like pretty. They're not foreign, but I think that they're so. What's the best word to put them?
Unique.
They're semi primitive. And they're upcoming that they don't really have an identity yet.
Yeah.
And there's room to give them an identity.
Grow.
Yeah, I suppose.
So because think about it this way, back in like even today, if you're thinking of a breakfast joint, like just off the top of your head, you want to go and have breakfast.
Well, it's a tough. In Norfolk is a tough. You got Perkins that you think of as breakfast.
Yeah,
I think of 411 or Fenders, but not
but,
everybody thinks
to do all three: breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Yeah, kind of the cafe style.
The cafe style, right? But someone who's never been to 411, some of them don't even know we do breakfast, because it doesn't look like a breakfast.
You do a very
joint,
good breakfast,
And then we also have like the lunch menu. So depending on the time of day that you come in.
Could be 3 different restaurants, basically.
Yes. Yeah. And I think if I package it right and, as like we said, all these issues that arise and I address them and I fix them, when I get to the self-actualization part where the whole thing makes sense, it's a pretty damn good package in itself.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people see it. I mean, it's a flashy restaurant. Or not flashy. I mean, it feels high end when you go in there.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people think that they can only go in there if they're high end or ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not the feel
That's
I
not
get.
the case. Yeah.
No, that was.
I think a lot of people get afraid of
never
that.
to do a high end restaurant.
It's real comfortable going in there.
But I
places.
wanted everybody to be able to go in and enjoy the ability to sit comfortably.
Yep.
Right. And enjoy a high end feel experience. And not feel like they don't belong.
Right.
Correct.
Because
I've been in those restaurants. I've been into.
You walk in and the
Dallas
dog
stuff.
guy's like, those shoes. I'm like, well, the shoes are not eating.
Right. Don't worry about this.
Don't worry about the shoes.
Don't worry about this shoes.
Dress code what?
I promise you, my food is gonna, my mouth is gonna eat whatever you have, and I'm gonna pay you for whatever you got.
I've been told not to go into a bar because we had shorts on. I was like. My legs are not eating. Like, what do you mean?
That's funny.
So,
I think all in all, you've brought some great variety and some much needed, even competition downtown.
Yeah,
which I think was needed.
It's opened up a lot of doors.
Yeah.
I can't take all the credit, but at the end of the day, it has allowed people to be comfortable enough to say, "Hey, I can take a leap of faith and do something." And add on to what's going on.
We need more people to do that.
Because before there was that hesitation, like, will it work? Will it not work?
Yeah.
I think all the other small communities are also taking a look at what's going on, and they're starting to open up to, okay, it doesn't have to be perfect, right?
Yeah.
But as long as you set it up, because let's say you go to a town like, what's the next closest? Battle Creek.
So
right?
I live in Battle Creek. So
a town like Battle Creek, someone has the guts to come in and set up a restaurant in Battle Creek. The last thing I'll ever do is knock it. Just the fact that they've just at least put an attempt to do it.
Yeah.
And that speaks more volume, because they're not just setting up. They're looking at a commodity that can be used, and if approached right and it's embraced right and appreciated, then that the down in Rapid City, man, those guys, like, even the crappy bars or the crappy things that open up there, they just like flock and they support it and they make it good. They don't knock their own things.
I think Norfolk's getting there.
Because you're not really competitors as much as, like, you're competitors, but everybody's a group. You all, I mean, if you have a good restaurant scene, it's good for everybody.
Benefits everybody. Yeah.
Like if it's like, hey, we got all these restaurants. You can go here today. You can go here tomorrow. You can go here. There's 25,000 people we can pick from.
Yeah,
we've had Andrew on twice.
Yeah,
and he doesn't ever talk about his own restaurant.
Not really.
He only talks about other restaurants downtown.
Yeah, see, there's this sense of pride.
Yeah,
right, for their own community, and it goes a long way. He does a lot.
Yeah.
Right, and putting all those events.
Yep.
Like closing down a whole block.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not for show. It's to bring people together. And what I take from that is every time you bring a large group of people together like that and they're sharing one communal bond,
Yep.
right? In one place. And then they go out and they start knocking other businesses.
Right.
And we all live here. You
Right.
know, we have to endure with what happens here at the end of the day. There's that camaraderie shouldn't just end when it shouldn't only be when there's a block closed and it's short-lived and then we go back to
Right.
you know,
Correct.
it should carry on to the next day, the next month,
Right.
and every day. Because 25,000 people, they could do a lot to make, you know, a place where it is, and it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, every day I walk downtown, the encounters I have, pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You know, I can say hi to a stranger and they'll be like, "Hey, what's up?" And it's like down in Chicago.
Right.
Or like New York, you say hi to each other, they cuss
they
you
brush
up.
you off. Yeah.
You
Why are
know?
you talking to me?
Yeah, why are you talking to me? Because they're angry.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're angry and things are tough and they're just not used to people taking time and acknowledging like their
Right.
well-being. Here, people acknowledge your well-being. Like everybody knows each other. Like if you're
Right.
sick tomorrow, they're like, "Oh man," you know. So, what I'm trying to say, it shouldn't be just short-lived on like
Yeah.
a day.
Right.
And I think that's what like not just restaurants, but all other businesses.
Agreed.
Oh, it's
they
on
do
everything.
they do a pretty good job on like bringing people together. But
Yeah.
what we should promote more is making it a longevity. Like instead of knocking like what's happening in a community, praise it.
Well, it's
That's
kind
kind
of.
of. I was gonna go.
You
ahead.
you go ahead.
I was gonna say it's kind of like what we talk about a lot with like jealousy type of thing. Like,
Yeah.
whereas let's be cheerleaders for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, you say even if they're your competitor. I mean, so I grew up. My dad's been a livestock equipment salesman, so
Yeah.
I mean, he was competitors with all of like his best friends, basically. You know, his really good friends. So like, you'd go to a show, guys are competing at the farm show the whole day,
Yeah.
and then you guys all go out to dinner and have drinks together, and then you're done. You're all rooting for each other. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna I want to beat you, but
Yeah.
you want to beat me, but. At the end of the day, we all want to both be successful. We don't want to not be successful because then I'm not bringing my friend along with me, and then I'm losing somebody behind me.
I don't think we ever talk about this, and I don't even know if like me and Andrew opened up at the same time, and I can guarantee you, I push him hard and he pushes me hard.
Yeah.
We've never had that conversation. It's mutual. It's
Right.
known.
You guys are
Right?
competing,
Yeah.
but you both want to be
That's
successful.
why I
Yeah.
said much needed
But
competition downtown.
yeah, but you wanna push each other, right? And that also helps with creating the next best thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It also not only does it it sets the bar,
Right.
right? So the next person who's coming in, right? They're coming in with the mentality of
I'm going to
okay,
be that good
I
or
want to
better.
be that
Or
good.
raise the bar.
Yes, we've raised the bar, and it's not like a bar that's unattainable,
Right.
Yeah.
right? But it's still accommodating,
Right.
right? So, because at the end of the day, you don't want discrepancies,
Right.
With like what the vision is and what's going on. Like I know Andrew's vision. He doesn't even need to tell me,
Right?
Because I understand it and I know it, right? So I have to make sure when I go back to the drawing board, I'm like, okay, so he's doing this. What else can I do to add value to what he's doing? And then he looks at what I'm doing. He doesn't need to tell me. He says, what else am I doing to add value to what he's doing?
Right.
And then when we sit down and put the notes together, they all have one common goal, right? And and it's to build up the town.
Yeah. Right.
So,
and going back to the praise, what I was going to say before Vance talked was that's what we did this podcast for, was because we want to bring people on like you, like everybody else we've already brought on, people we're going to bring on, and just highlight what you guys have going on.
Yeah, and I appreciate this is it's a different platform because I've done like the paper and I've done like social media part, and now this is a new platform where it's more in depth and it's firsthand.
Yeah.
If you're reading it, then it's like it doesn't hit the same way.
Correct. It's all sound bites at that point,
which is why we wanted to touch base on that post because we wanted you to be able to speak about it, not just write something down, but actually speak about it.
Yeah, but in any way, shape, or form, I don't think it deterred me from my vision and the goals that I've set. Looking back from where I'm coming from and where I started, I don't think I've attained the objective that I need to because I don't know what my destiny is.
Yep.
And as long as I wake up every day and I know there's a fulfillment, just
a purpose.
Like a purpose, just for today, that good or bad, right? The end goal at the end is to make sure that all that time and all that sacrifice did not go forsaken.
Right.
And it didn't. And that's why I never look back at, let's say, anyone who's made an attempt on anything, and I can't look back and be like, I saw that coming or that was expected. That is like the wrong thing to say.
Yeah.
If I didn't do anything about it, I shouldn't even be saying that.
I have more respect for people that try and fail than people that don't try and don't fail.
Yes.
Because they didn't try it. And they could say, if it's that same person that says, well, I wanted to do this, I just never did it. Well, then I have less respect for you than the person that tried it and failed at it because they at least tried it.
But even outside of the podcast, if you ever have a conversation with me and there's like an issue, like I try to hold conversations that pertain in how do we, it's more based on solving the problem.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of knocking it. And like, okay, so if this is a problem, the approach should be, let's lay out the options we have, right? Instead of being like, oh, well, that would never happen, or that I'm not helping by using that kind of tone and that language, right? So I have to be like, okay, what are the options available? There's always options, right? And then if I can come up with any, and the person I'm talking to, then I say, well, maybe we should refer to this guy because he's well more knowledgeable, or we could keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
So,
is there anything else you want to touch on with 411 Fenders at all? That I may have missed or didn't ask questions about?
No, I think other than that, for this year, I want to kind of switch things up to keep it more interactive, and I don't want people to get bored right away. So, Fenders, we're building a whiskey program.
I saw that.
We've started it slowly because not to overwhelm the staff and get them more educated into this new program that we're adding. So they're very comfortable with the coffee pot, but we want to get into the whiskey, and then for 411, I will be doing more of wine.
Yeah,
because it just fits in a lot better there. We'll still do the cocktails and all that, but
Like wine pairings with the food, whatever your menu is?
Just more of an extensive wine library. So as much wine as we can source in, and for 411, and then for Fenders it'll be more whiskey, and then future goals. I hope I could do a wine bar
in
Norfolk,
and a new establishment you're talking.
Yeah. I think that'll be dope.
Yeah,
that would add to the portfolio, and
I can honestly say I don't know if I've ever been to a wine bar. I don't like they just serve just wine there.
Yeah, you can do like wine tastings. You can buy bottles. You can the wine culture is pretty nice.
Yeah,
it's a very small community. Everybody knows each other, and every vineyard knows every other vineyard. And there's a lot of educating and like history and wine that it is awesome. Like when you indulge into that historical aspect of, because wine's been drank for years.
Well,
like, way back, and as it evolves, it leaves a story behind.
Yeah,
and
that's I would say. So, do you want to do that downtown, or you want to do that somewhere in Norfolk?
Probably downtown.
Downtown,
yeah, because it adds another flavor.
Yeah, just another thing,
a variety. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. The other, I would think, like, have you ever thought of like a martini bar? Because I know Norfolk doesn't really have a martini bar, and there's certain places that do. Have you ever been to a martini bar? Just
it's a good idea. Because now I'm starting to think. Like,
just throwing that out there. I mean, I got an entrepreneur over
They make
here.
a lot of martinis at Fenders, though.
Yeah, they do martinis at Fenders. They do martinis at 411. But a martini bar would be good. So, what else have I been thinking about? Not a nightclub, but like if I have time, I'd like to get back to my DJing days.
Do you still have your equipment? I was going to ask you that earlier.
No, I don't. But I'd like to go back to DJing. The only thing is the music's different.
Yeah.
So I have to get in touch with the youngins and be like, yo, help me build this library.
You gotta start listening to mumble rap.
No,
I mean, we grew up with way better music, I think.
Yes.
But makes me feel like the old curmudgeon now. Yeah. Like back in my day.
Because nowadays, nightclubs are not even popping. Like, I think they do like lounges. You just get a DJ and you just sit down and enjoy a cocktail. There's like, back in the day, you had to have like the dance floor.
Yeah.
Literally, like, just put a dance floor in and a little tiny bar in the corner.
A few lights.
Yeah, and a few
lasers, some smoke.
You're good to go. In a little dirty building.
Well, if you can find some equipment, you can come DJ Anita's birthday. I'm trying to still find somebody to come do that so I don't have to do it.
Oh, no.
So if you want to do it.
Dude, the DJing I do is serious. Like, I'm talking really, really serious. Like,
if you can find some equipment by the end of the month.
I don't know if I'll be able to get the equipment right away. But oh no, the production has to be on point. The sound has to be on point. But I've thought about that.
That'd be cool.
Just go cook down at 411 on a Friday and then
throw some
head out to the next spot, set up the gig, and throw down some jams till 2:00.
That'd be fun.
So
that'd be cool.
It's an idea right now, but I think there's room for it.
Yeah. No, for sure. We don't have one anymore. We used whatever you want to call it. The Depot was what
closest.
It was. Closest thing we had to a end of night club thing. Would never get busy till midnight, and back then it was 1:00 close, so it was really only busy for an hour.
Oh no, I have like a layout. Like at the end of the day, you want people to get like an amazing night with music and good cocktails, and
I like the idea.
If the right spot comes around, because location is also key,
right?
And accessibility. If you're gonna be bumping music really loud, and like,
don't want a lot of people sleeping around
Yeah.
or trying to sleep.
trying to sleep, and then the security aspect of that.
That's a big one too.
Yeah, because then going back to
Kind of goes back to your responsibility of
and
what you were talking about.
knowing the right people, in terms of like, remember back in the day, you go to a bar and you get roughed up more by the bouncer than
A little pushing starts, and then the bouncers carry you outside the bar.
I'd like to change that. I want the bouncer to make people feel safe and well taken care of, and so but it's just an idea out there. If there's time, and it'd be something nice to add to the entertainment aspect.
Well, you get a lot of time left.
Oh yeah, and then what else? I'd like to get into the development aspects, like real estate.
Yeah.
I like building stuff. Like right now, I've just done like renovations, but I'd like to build, like from the ground up.
That's interesting.
And play with some architecture and materials and colors and all that.
That's really cool.
Because there's room for that.
Oh, for sure.
Well, especially if you're going to do, like you were talking about, trying to basically franchise or whatever, go out, branch out to other communities, other small towns that you could find yourself building something to mimic what you got already.
Yeah, you'd have like you'd have to have like a platform ready to go.
Oh yeah,
a design.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So between now and as time goes on, you make a package and you set it here, and make a package and you set it next to it, and then when the right time and place comes, at least I'm more prepared. You're not scrambling, and try to make things make sense. If I can make sense of them a little earlier, so that's the next move, I think. And then hopefully 10, 30 years from now, when you look back, the foundation that we're setting up,
it's off and running.
Yeah, it's off and running. Because things are changing, The cities are not the cities anymore. The suburbs are becoming the cities, and then the small towns are becoming the suburbs. There's no denying it. You can't change that. It's happening. It's happening in real time.
Right.
Have you noticed, like, everywhere where there's a Walmart, like before they would build a Walmart on like a vacant lot, like there's nothing around it,
and then it builds up.
And then it builds up.
Yep. That's
like
what happens.
That's where all the develop. So those Walmart guys, they knew something when they were setting them up.
Yep.
I've done my research, and I'm trying to understand like
how to replicate that.
The thought process, and the more I can understand that, because that information is not readily available,
right?
Yeah.
And it just goes down to thinking and trying to understand and looking at your environment.
Think outside the box, critical thinking. We talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
Just you got to be able to disseminate the information that you're getting and think about it critically.
Because the big cities right now, this is luxury. Let me tell you, the ability to get in your car and drive from work to home with ease, and tomorrow morning, like how long your commute's gonna take, and they wish they had that, and it's so congested, and just the space.
Yeah.
To have that much real estate, like times are changing right now. People are starting to branch out to the small cities. Well, my role is the infrastructure ready in there when that happens? Yeah, and that's what I'm doing with like the joints that Fenders and 411 and all that, and like the nightclubs and any ideas that we've talked about is to prepare for,
Yeah.
So
one of the key words on this podcast is balance that we like to talk about, and we haven't. Usually, I bring it up before now, but you had a lot of good stories, so I didn't really want to
no, it's cool.
come on that. But how many kids do you have?
2.
2 kids.
Yeah.
How old are they?
12 and 9.
Okay, so they were around when you were starting 411.
Yeah.
So, and we haven't talked about your wife a whole lot either, but
I don't know if she wanted me to talk about
that's okay.
her.
We don't have to talk about her, but we talk about balance because how did you guys balance having the kids, trying to start the restaurant? Does she play a lot of a part in that?
Yeah, we had a game plan. I don't talk about work at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't bring home life to work. And that's why sometimes you'll not see my wife and I in the same place.
Yeah.
And if we are, we're either having dinner, but like, because she has a full-time job outside of all that other stuff. And so the plan was this is my job.
Right.
Yeah.
And then she has her job. And we keep them separate like that.
Right.
Even though she helps out with like the baking stuff.
I was going to say she bakes
at Fenders.
Yeah.
And she does that for, extracurricular because she loves baking. So there's a platform for her to do that. But we try to keep the family side and the business side. Like, it's my job. Like, when I check out from 411 Fenders and go home, I check out. We don't interact about work and all that. Does it interfere sometimes when I'm at home? Like, you get a phone call? Yeah. But I think I've got it down to where it is not taking away family time.
Right. Not interfering.
Yeah. So, like, we were in Kenya, last year and the previous year, 3 weeks.
The whole family?
2022 was a whole family. Last year was just my wife and I. But we're trying to make it to a yearly thing where we get a break and just get away from work.
Yeah.
It's healthy. And when I say something like that, and you're like, what about your employees? Well, I had a conflict with this when I was putting together the plan. And I remember working at a lot of restaurants, and your day off means you lose hours and you lose pay.
Yeah.
So, like down on 411, anybody who's worked there for a year gets a week paid vacation. And why do I do that? Because you need at least a week where you don't have to think about work and worry about money.
Right.
And just use it for yourself and to self-reflect.
Right.
It's important. And a lot of restaurants don't really offer that option because it was not a thing. I don't even think it is a thing.
Yeah.
But I'm a human being. I get tired, and sometimes I just want at least a couple of days to where I don't have to think about the next shift and all that. So if I'm able to do it, I'd like also this stuff to be able to do it.
Right. That makes sense.
So
that's a good thing you do.
So yeah, it's the right thing to do.
Right. Right.
So, but besides that, I try to keep my job and the family side completely separate because the other thing when I was doing the research, and working in a lot of restaurants, I've still like about Chili's. I'm telling you, in Rapid City, it was family owned, mother-daughter, and to see the mother and daughter fighting in the middle of the restaurant because the daughter went out last night, got drunk, and opened up the restaurant late, and the staff has to watch that,
right?
And they're like, man, this is not beneficial.
It's not healthy.
I've seen like a lot of marriages come to an end because the chef or the owner has to spend hours in the restaurant that he spends at home, and I don't know if it's still a thing, but like back in the day, like you finish your shift and when do we go hang out at the bar?
Yeah,
So I don't have to do that because I don't drink. So
yeah.
shift's done, I just go
I'm
home.
going home.
Right.
So I study that and I try to understand like what are the reasons why. Like, because divorce rate from restaurant owners is pretty high because I mean it's a commitment,
Right.
and you're married to it.
Yeah, you're putting a lot of
You
time.
know? Yeah.
Right.
So once I understood that, and I told my wife, I was like, yeah, as long as we're doing this, we can't let this interfere with the household.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it gets out of hand to where now the household is neglected, and then we're trying to now. And I share that with the staff, and I let them know, like, just as much time as you guys want with your family, you have to understand. Just because I'm doing this, you have to respect that. I also want to be able to have that freedom, and I look out for you guys as much as you look out for me. Because when all our well-beings are okay, then we perform better, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why someone asks for a day off. I don't deny it, even if we're short-staffed. We approve them. You know, I don't sit there and argue and be like, no, you can't have that day off. You got to be here.
Right.
No, I don't force anybody to do that. You know, because I can jump in and help in the
Right.
kitchen or the bar or anywhere like that. But as a staff crew, they're well aware, so they're also part of it. Yeah. So
That's great.
because I also have to respect their families.
Right.
You know, like they say, hey, what was it? Thanksgiving. You know, they reached out. They're like, hey, can we open Thanksgiving? Because I normally close on Thanksgiving Day. And they're like, I don't have anything to do Thanksgiving. Can we open? I was like, well, if you guys can get enough people, I don't have a problem with it. But I like to be closed. But they're like, well, we'd rather be here. You know, and I respected that. So
It creates goes back to what I said, like you're creating ownership in your employees. I mean,
Yeah.
they're taking ownership in their job and their work.
I put a lot of trust in it. That's one thing that I remember. There's other places where I work, and the owner would not let like even the bartenders, you know, touch the cash register, and they want to stand there and just watch like every transaction.
Right.
Like they're just sitting there hovering, like, did you count the right change?
Goodness.
You know, but yeah, there's theft. You get it, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be that guy. I had to let them know I trust you, you know, and with that trust, you get some appreciation, and they don't take their work for granted, and they see what they put in, like,
Right.
you know. So it's special, man. I'm telling you,
I like that.
Yeah.
if anybody could take a step back and just pay attention and see, like, come in on a busy day, and you see, I don't have to direct them or tell them this. They just do it on their own,
Right.
and they get a sense of fulfillment and accomplishment that they did it by themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like the best reward you could ever get over, you know.
Right.
So
Well, we're kind of coming to a close. Unless you got something else you want to.
well, we talked about food.
Yeah, we talked about
talked
Florida.
about-
We talked
We talked
about
about the
everything.
restaurant.
And we can always bring you
talked
back
about
on, too.
Norfolk.
Yeah.
I'm trying to beat that 3-hour mark.
Oh,
And
are
we're
you?
not. We're not.
Oh.
Yeah, I want to
Yeah,
know
we-
who was here for 3 hours and
His
what they.
parents.
That was my parents.
I haven't met your parents yet.
You have not met my
No,
parents?
I've met your parents.
You've met my parents.
Your
yeah.
parents are cool. They're like my homies. I
Yeah.
don't know if I can call them my homies.
Yeah,
but
they're good. They're good
dude,
people.
I used to run deliveries to their house during COVID.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know.
Yeah.
But they ordered so much delivery. I know the order address off the top of my head.
Yeah. They ordered a lot. Well, see, my mom can only have so many things, and you
Yeah.
offer the things that she can have. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
That's pretty cool.
They're pretty cool, man. We chop it up every time they come down, and
And they love Fenders too.
yes, you need conversations like that. You know, they keep me grounded, which is cool. So hey, when you see them, by the way, your mom said she needs to be on the podcast.
Yep.
So
She'll be on here. It's just I've already taught. I told her she could be the first one, and she wanted to wait. So
Yeah.
that's on
yeah,
her.
because I've talked to her, and man,
Yeah.
she's got some
She'll talk.
inspiring
Yeah,
conversations. Like,
she's kind of a spitfire.
you know,
She likes to rile Vance up a little bit. So.
Yeah.
She does enjoy pushing my buttons, but she's really good about it.
Yeah, I know.
She likes to get me talking. She enjoys to get me talking.
That's pretty cool. So,
yeah, we're looking forward to having her on.
Yep. Just whenever she wants to be on here.
but who's the 3 hour?
It was my
Oh,
parents.
this is your parents.
So Van
Yeah.
and Kathy.
Oh,
Yeah.
right on.
We had a lot to talk about, and we have more to talk about. I just didn't know what all you wanted to get into.
What's your? I got a question.
Yeah.
What would you like to see Norfolk get? Not just downtown. What would you like to see for Norfolk to improve? Is there anything off the top of your head you can think that Norfolk would really improve from getting somewhere? Maybe downtown, maybe not downtown. Maybe something you want to start. And we've talked about what you want to start, but it's maybe something that you wouldn't be starting, but you think would be a good benefit to Norfolk.
So we have like the YMCA, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
dope. It'd be nice if Norfolk could get like an event arena, like an arena. It doesn't have to be huge.
Yeah.
Like just a building with good architectural design and for events, and strategically located. Try and highlight like the small things that the geography of Norfolk has to offer, and I think like a what do you call that? The Norfolk River Walk.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
the river. I think they call it the River Rock.
They're calling it the Riverwalk.
the Norfolk River Walk. So something like that is not expected here,
Yeah.
right? But it's now giving me ideas.
I've thought about that too, in the same aspect. So we kind of have the same idea, just different aspects of it. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that would be something good. It's just getting the money to, because it would take a lot of money to put something like that up.
I know. That's why I get jealous when I see like the folks down in Omaha and what is it, Lincoln?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they can do it, the only thing is they've set up an example, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if they can do it, I mean, there's nothing saying that Norfolk is not deserving. I don't walk around with that mentality that Norfolk is not deserving. If anything, I want to like prove them wrong, and then tenfold.
Yeah.
We're like, well, not only did we attempt to do it, but we kind of scaled it to where it works.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And there's room for that, and that's a cool thing.
We'd like to have that for our land party. That's really where the whole thing came about, was to have an arena, the size to be able to even hold a small concert, or
it doesn't have to be huge. I mean,
but to house 300-400 gamers to do that.
Yeah.
But getting a not state of the art, but getting a nice facility for that is not the cheapest thing to do right now. So it's tough to, one, get the city on board, and two, have it be feasible.
Because it's got to, if you do have something like that, you do have to have it making money. It can't just sit vacant.
That's the thing.
It's gotta sustain itself. It's got to make the money.
Yep.
So you got to be able to bring in the event or the entertainment to make it work.
Yeah.
So check this out. Say like in the middle of July, there's nothing really going on after 4th of July, right?
Yep.
You got that dry stint between July and then when school starts.
Well, we have the Madison County Fair.
And then you got the Madison County Fair. Well, that's over there, right?
Down there. But yeah.
Predominantly, there's a lot of, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of cattle farmers in this area.
Kettle farmers?
Yeah.
Cattle.
Oh, cattle
like
farmers.
beef farmers and, the cows. And you want to tell me right now, because I want to go to a rodeo.
You've never been to a rodeo?
No.
Never been to a rodeo?
I haven't seen.
Well, we're bringing you to one this year.
We're gonna have to.
Madison County Fair's got one.
No. That's Madison County Fair. But I think Norfolk can.
You want a
throw
Norfolk
down
rodeo?
A rodeo and a stock show?
So
for like
the stock
Thursday.
show in July probably wouldn't happen.
Oh yeah, well it doesn't
Just
have to be in
speaking,
July.
I'm just speaking from like I'm in that world. I'm in the
Yeah.
cattle world, on the
Yeah.
show world. So
Yeah, there you go.
that would be difficult in that time of year.
Yeah.
But a winter show, which they have one, they have a winter show
Where's that?
in November at the college, a junior show. They have a junior
At the ag complex.
at the ag complex out there, East Benjamin. They do have a pretty good sized junior calf show for
Okay.
younger kids,
Yeah.
up to 21, I think.
It's a big complex out there. I don't know, have you ever been out there? The ag complex?
No.
Pretty big complex.
I think they've maybe have had a bullorama or once every once in a while a bull
It's
riding.
not aesthetically pleasing. It's just
It's just a big building.
Big building.
big metal building.
But if you get like a legit country singer, and you got the stock show, and then you got the
Hey,
rodeo,
Ludacris is coming.
he don't come. but do you see what I mean?
No,
like
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
because I feel like the ranching community can also be involved in the entertainment aspect of
I agree.
engaging with downtown, other than selling your beef, and then you say, hey, this came from this ranch. It'd be nice to have an event that showcases all the ranchers in one big space, and where people can interact with them in one area. And not only is there like the music aspect, you got the beer aspect, and then you got like the gear, then there's like the events.
So
all
here's an
bundled
idea
up.
for you.
Yeah.
So Valentine, Nebraska. Do you know where Valentine, Nebraska is? Out kind of north central, basically.
Yeah.
Maybe a little wester than central.
Yeah.
But it's so Valentine's basically straight south of Rapid City, is where Valentine is.
Yeah.
But Valentine on February, the name's Valentine. So on the weekend of Valentine's Day, they have what they call the Heart City Bull Bash, and they bring a bunch of ranchers, bring their bulls in pens and put them along the main street there downtown. So that'd be something you'd be interested in.
Now you take a little
in
bit
Norfolk,
of that.
Nebraska, and just bring some exhibitors downtown.
Exactly. You take a little bit of that. You take a little bit of the junior rodeo, and then you just morph them up into one big thing, and it becomes like a yearly event. One, not only will it bring people from the other small towns, but I've seen Rapid City Stock Show.
Yeah.
They pack that arena, and
The Rapid City Stock Show's a really good thing.
But
we
they
go there
come
quite
from,
a bit.
They come from everywhere, though.
Oh yeah, we go
Right?
up there.
And there's like, do you guys do like a show with
We
like
show cattle.
like you show cattle.
Yeah.
And
So we're taking actually next week. I'll be gone. I won't be able to do anything podcast related next week because my family's going to Denver with a pen of cattle, heifers. We're taking heifers out to show out there.
I remember there was an article in the paper. There was a bull that went for $250,000 just for its semen.
Yep.
Yeah, it happens.
And I was like, wait a minute. Katie, my wife, grew up in a farm, and I was like, all this cattle.
And she's got you here working in a restaurant.
You want to tell me none of those bulls is worth $250,000?
It doesn't.
That's funny.
You'd be surprised.
I didn't know that, but now every time I drive, I'm like, man, maybe that one. Maybe just don't know.
We always say it around here. When you're smelling cow manure, you smelling
Smells
money.
like
You
money.
spelled my money.
Like money.
Yeah. So, but I thought that was pretty interesting. I didn't know that.
See, I'd like to see an arena where the old Alco is.
Yeah,
Not,
right there.
not high rises. An arena
Yeah, you could be
there.
That'd be kind of cool.
Right on the river. Right on the Riverwalk.
Because with the right marketing, I think, and
Because we could hold our event there. We could. There's so many cool things that could be done if we could just get some people on board to do that.
Takes a lot of money.
well,
But yeah.
I know. That's what
but see, we're having a conversation. So
Starting it.
I'll keep talking about it.
There you go.
know?
Come see
Now,
us, 'cause
now I know you got connections.
I've got some people invested to do it. We just it's going to take a couple $1 million.
That's not easy, but it's attainable,
Yeah.
right? So
Yep.
I think that would be cool.
It would be cool.
Then I can DJ in those events.
Exactly. We can get you the equipment for
You
that.
don't have to bring Ludacris out here. I'll DJ for that event.
I can play
You know,
Ludacris
I always
when I
say
DJ.
that's how you know you're
Yeah.
washed up when you're coming to the
You
Madison
know,
County Fair.
Yeah, he has no idea where he's coming, is he?
He was just in Sioux City. He wasn't that far away.
Yeah, but other than that, you know, it's
Yeah,
good
Nelly
to see.
was here. Nelly told him about it.
So,
They're friends.
But I was here before now.
I was already here.
Yeah, yeah.
Warmed the
paved
place
way.
up.
Yeah, I warmed the place
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
So
That's
they're
good. I like that idea.
What? But you know, something like that would be nice. It'll help scale the place and give it variety, other than just being known for the booming downtown, and you can spread that to,
Well,
you know.
a lot of the community doesn't like the booming downtown, so it's a half and half. It's kind of cut down the middle.
But by not liking the booming downtown, like let's go back to that pride for your community,
Right, exactly.
right?
Which is what we try to push
So-
on this podcast.
And that kind of goes back to what we've talked about. And I don't, and it's maybe the same thing as I think a lot of people, I think it for certain things, it comes down to jealousy.
We talked about that. Yeah.
I think people people don't tend to look at the big picture. Like,
Yeah.
so you can be really successful and I can be really successful and be successful together, as opposed to some people are like, well, you're really successful and I'm not successful. So therefore I hate you because I'm not successful and you're the reason I'm not successful. I think there's a lot of people that are that way. They use that mentality, whereas I like the mentality is like, hey, let's both be successful and we're both better. Let's make downtown good. Let's make the west side of town good. Let's make the west side of town good. Let's make the east side of town good. Let's make the north side, south side. Let's make everything better, and then we're just building together. Yeah. Let's make Battle Creek better. Let's make Madison better. Let's make Pierce State better. Let's make Stanton better. Let's make Northeast Nebraska better.
Because that's what we talk about too, is that Norfolk is not only just Norfolk. Yeah. It's Battle Creek, it's Stanton, it's Pierce, it's all the surrounding cities, because they all come here for most of their shopping experience or dining experience, and so we're not just doing it for Norfolk.
Yes. So, do you think if we use a different language in terms of how we communicate the progress of Norfolk,
expand on that? What do you
to where
explain?
But by instead of saying downtown Norfolk is booming, right? And we're saying
Norfolk is growing.
Norfolk is as a whole is growing, right? And you highlight like where all the growth is and the benefits of the growth.
Yeah.
Is there a way to showcase, right, and market that to where it is more informative than bragging?
That's what we're trying to do on this
Right.
podcast. Is not bragging about it.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. So we're trying to do that here. We've only
It sounds like bragging because sometimes that's the only people we've had on.
Yeah.
right.
But we're not really doing that. We're trying to.
But we've also had people on that didn't rag on downtown, but they had some reservations about certain things and thought there needed to be a little more diversity in some of the different things going on. But
because my point is, I'll give you an example. The Johnny Carson mural,
yeah,
right? Before that, it was just a parking lot.
yeah,
And for the longest time, the farmers market was over by Hy-Vee.
it was at the mall.
It was at the mall.
It was over at the mall, right? And when it was brought about that the farmers market was going to move to that
There were some
space,
reservations.
There was some reservations. And the reason why there was some reservations is the lack of connection with the shift from the mall to that space, right? And to sell the idea of, look what this space can look with the farmers market here.
Yeah.
I don't think that information really got to that until after the space was built, and then they moved there, and then they saw, wait a minute, it is actually way more beneficial after the fact is when they figured out how beneficial having the farmers market.
Well,
there,
and like I said,
and more how it's interactive. It's more interactive than being at the mall.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't like. I'm not bashing the newspaper or anything else, but I don't always think they give the whole story.
Yeah.
Which is what we're trying to do here. So like
Right.
Josh brought the farmers market up when he was on.
Oh, no way.
Josh Moaning did.
Yep.
Because he said it was a very hard transition to come over there because the vendors even thought that it was going to be a downtick in people, but they said they're booming. There's vendors that weren't doing well. They're now doing great.
It is Saturday morning when the farmers market is open. You see a whole different picture of what Saturday morning used to be before that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's funny. Like, I barely talk to Josh.
Yeah.
You know, but the funny thing is, like I'll tell you a story. I have a lot of stories. So when I opened 411, and it's like my first week, this guy walks in with glasses on, because I never talked to anybody when I was doing it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know anyone. I was just building this thing that.
Right.
And the sign goes up and we open, and I'm just like, because other cities, like, the mayor never comes around. Like, no one ever comes around. You can open up shop and be opening for a whole year and you never see him.
Right.
So he walks in and the guy with glasses is like, hey, how you doing? Hey, would you like a table?
He had no idea who he was, yeah.
And he's like, hey, my name is Josh, and I'm the mayor, and I like what you've done with the place. And I'm like, cool. Because, you don't expect it. Like, I normally don't have, like words ready for stuff like that or what I'm going to say.
Right.
But we sat down and we chopped it up. And I think that's when he told me about the plans for downtown.
Yeah.
That I had no clue about. Because I was just like, I'm desperate.
So that's crazy to know that. I bet you 100%.
Yeah.
Most of the city thinks that it was all a group thing.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
You just saw an empty spot and said, "Let's go."
So I didn't know any of like the development of anything, like the plans. And so when I think we sat down a couple of days later, and it was like, man, it's really good that you've done this because we have this in the works. And as he starts explaining to me, and I'm like, oh, you know what? This fits right in, and it just happened organically that you guys already had a plan, and then this comes in, so it just adds on to that without ever talking, and that's like the pureness, and that's the good thing that can come about. And till today, like I'm like trying to pinch myself and be like, what are the odds or what are the chances?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because look at
and you're right in the middle of it.
Yeah, because look at Columbus. Like, you got to flip a coin and just be super lucky to be in the middle of, going to a small town like that and just fall in line with the progress
What's
that they're
going on.
planning. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it fit right in, and
that's great.
So
that's really funny. Hopefully, we're trying to get a little more outreach on this podcast, and we're really hoping we get more listeners. That'd be a nice little token for them to
hear that.
All your your quote unquote haters out there.
I don't have any haters. I'm telling you, it's just a disconnect.
Yeah.
And a misunderstanding.
That's what we're trying to bring.
And I appreciate you doing that. I love the idea of the podcast. I can't wait to see this scale beyond what it is.
We're hoping so.
Because, you what?
We're hoping it gets scaled bigger, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because besides this, is there any other podcasts?
Not that
There's
I know
some
of.
people that have some around, but
not focusing on the community, I don't think.
Not that I've really heard. We're just trying to, and we're just, like he says, we're just trying to, it's kind of one of these things. And we focus a lot on Norfolk, but it's really Northeast Nebraska, everything in the area.
And we'd love to expand on that too.
Yeah.
It would be cool if I get, if you can get the girl who runs 411 and the girl
What do you mean if we can get?
Well, you should get him, man.
Do you know? Do we know somebody
that knows him?
I
You?
oh yeah, yeah.
Do you know a guy?
Well, I'll ask them, but because they're very young, single moms, and I think they can tell you guys a story.
Well, I think I might already be wanting to bring one of them on. Who's the Fenders?
Yeah, Skylar and Carrie Ann.
So I know them both. I've already talked to Skylar about doing it. She doesn't think she has anything to bring to it. I think she would be great on here.
I think she would be a voice of reason to. I don't think a lot of single moms that go to work every day get enough credit, especially after the last year with the daycare situation. And I'm just saying it because I saw it firsthand how they had to navigate and still get to work.
Right.
You know, and if they can share like their thoughts and experiences on how that, because like if you talk to Carrie Ann, like I work with them because I understand like balancing that responsibility and the demands for work.
Right.
They're not the only ones who've gone through that.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice to hear like the process.
Right.
You know, I know it.
Yep.
But if they can get on this, I'm pretty sure most of the listeners will be able to relate.
Yeah.
Because they're getting it from firsthand. Because I can sit here and say, hey, you know what? Yeah, they're single parents, single moms, and they're running 2 stores, and they got it figured out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They tell me they got it figured out, but I want to know the recipe.
Like we love having guys like you and Andrew on, but obviously our goal was to bring you guys on because you guys are well known in the community.
Yeah.
And we needed you guys, it just as both sides to bring some
Outreach.
audience in. But the real goal was to talk to people like Skylar, people that maybe aren't always acknowledged in the community that have a story to tell and can help other single moms out or whoever. And that's really the goal. And obviously we want to highlight you guys too.
Well, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to, but hey, it's an honor. And I
talk to you all the time when I'm at Fenders and we run into each other and we have conversations. And I've always thought our conversations were very organic and unique.
Yes.
I think you have a unique outlook on life.
I'd like to think so.
I think you do. You take criticism well.
Oh yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
Like anyone who can't take criticism in what we do, you're going into it knowing you can't please everybody.
Yeah.
And yes, does it get to you? Yeah. It's just how long does it take you to get over it?
Yeah.
And
Got to brush it off
just brush
to
it
an
off.
extent.
That was half our thing starting this podcast. Was thinking, people aren't going to like it or people are going to give us shit about certain things or whatever. But we're like, we're not going to change the way we want to do it.
Yeah.
We're not going to change the way we speak about things. We're not going to change the way we ask questions based on the guest. Like, so.
Yeah. I'd say it all the time. If it would have been up to me, we would have never started the podcast, even though we both talked about it every time.
Yeah.
And Zach finally pulled the trigger. Like, he just finally said, hey, I bought it.
There
You
go.
bought what?
I didn't even tell him I was ordering it. I just bought
Said,
it.
it's here. He goes, it's here. I said, what's here?
That's what I did with
Podcast
Fenders.
equipment.
I didn't tell my wife about it.
You told me that. I love that story. Yeah.
I came home. I was like, we have a coffee shop. What? She thought I was joking. Like, no, I got the key. I'll go take you, check it out. I'm like, you're joking, right? I'm like, no, come with me. And I open the door. I'm like, yep, this is going to be the coffee shop. Are you serious? I'm like, yeah. And, we were supposed to go to Kenya. That was 2022, so June, right? And she's like, so do you still plan on going to Kenya if you're doing this coffee shop? I'm like, yeah. So you're gonna build it when you're in Kenya too? I'm like, yeah. She's like, man.
That's funny.
It's better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, that's one thing I can't. I'm not gonna have regrets because during like when Rapid City was growing, because Rapid City was just like this, like back in 2009, and I remember what's that, Keystone Hill City, right next to the Civic Center. You could buy real estate in Rapid City, on those areas like the Deadwood, up in the hills, the Black Hills, $50,000. A beat up house that is on a hill, barely just hanging on the foundation. And fast forward to today, people are fixing those up, putting them on the market for $450K, and I'm like, I was there, you know.
Yeah.
And
it's crazy how an area can turn around just because of the infrastructure that was put in place in the city or whatever.
So, you know, I once I saw that, I just told myself, any opportunity that presents itself, and logistically, I'm able to make it happen. Even you have to, because I can't have that many regrets. So far, I've mentioned how many.
Or fear of missing out, right?
What's that?
Or fear of missing out.
Yeah,
Fear of missing out on something.
Missing out,
Yeah.
you know.
Little FOMO.
Everybody that has success it has a level of risk. I mean, it takes risk.
Yeah.
You have to risk. Nobody's successful without risking something.
Yeah, and that's why I like this when I have a conversation with someone, regardless of who they are, I am trying to get as much helpful information that I can, because people are also really stingy with like the good information
to help out. Right?
Yeah, the good information is not like readily available. Like you have to on like some certain level of I wouldn't even say trust. Like a certain level of respect before they can share that information. That's how it feels like.
I used to be that way.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I used to be that way. I used to withhold a lot of information if I felt that it was valuable or whatever. And now I'm to the point where I try to help as many people as I can. Like I'm not going to try to say I'm successful, but I've got a successful business. I've got my wife has one. We're trying to get a successful podcast, but I try to share as much information with the younger kids or anybody that wants it.
Because it's helpful. Like
it makes you feel good too.
My landlord, Russ Wilcox.
Yeah,
you know, like when I was going into 411, I knew how to cook. I could put a business plan together. I could train people on cocktails and all that. I didn't know jack about leases.
Right.
Okay, like when it comes, because that's now on that other level of the business side. I didn't know jack about leases. I didn't know the licensing part of things.
Yeah.
The tax forms that you have to, because the restaurants are different. Like people think like you just go and you put up a kitchen and you order food. I mean, there's a lot of contingencies that
there's
you
a lot
have
of compliance things you gotta meet.
Yes,
and,
and it's a lot. Just before you can even put a freaking steak on a plate,
right?
Yeah,
you know. But he was cool enough to be like, "Hey, this is how." Because remember, it was an old building. You're renovating it, so there's really no value to it.
Yeah.
So he took me under his wing and he showed me how to structure the lease.
Yeah.
And by doing that, he was very honest, but he was kind of like teaching me because he knew I didn't know jack. And
well, that was good that he did that because some people might take advantage of you.
Yeah, but he also saw like the determination that I had to like not set me up for failure. Because remember, I'm in a space that's not supposed to be a restaurant, but I had something to prove.
Right.
And he wanted to see it go through. You know, and I have fond respect. Like till today, like if he calls me up and he's like, "Yo, Danny, change this," because original 411, the walls were supposed to be booths, not tables.
Oh yeah.
And he came and he was like, "Bro, not what did he say, bro, but he was like, hey." It'll be for your best benefit if you just did tables instead of these. Yeah,
better than the booths.
Yeah, the booths will look really nice and all that.
I'm not a booth fan.
Yeah, and you can't move them around, and it'll take up space. And
it's a different aesthetic too when you have that in there.
So like till today, like he'll pull me aside and be like, hey, you work on this and fix that, you know. And that's why part of being humble, that information will be presented to you. And if I was like arrogant and kind, and it'd been like, well, go find it yourself.
Right.
You know, oh, here, just sign this. No, he sat down and threw it together. And it's like, these are your options. If you want to do it white box, and then you do the build out yourself, or we can do the whole build out. And he says, and do it this way because long term, it'll keep your rent low. And as your assets depreciate, you expense it out.
Right.
And so, now I can negotiate my own leases.
There you go.
And
that's good.
You know, that's more added education, and I share that with my staff. And that's why I'm telling you, if you sat down with those 2-year-olds, I'm very transparent with them. They came in not having any managerial experience, and they do all the numbers, everything.
I've sat and talked to Skylar.
Yeah,
she is very educated on what you do and how things work. She's good.
Yeah,
very good.
She's very, very smart.
And she asks questions too. Even to me, she'll ask me questions about certain things that I may be knowledgeable in. But
do you see what I mean? Someone like that, if she asks me a question and I'm withholding it, I am not helping her at all.
Right.
Because when sometimes she'll ask me a question that, you know, an average person should know.
Right.
But to me, it means she's always had this question, and the people that have the answers have not given them.
Yep.
And so
when you don't, and if you don't answer that question, then it's on you.
Yeah.
Then you're the bad guy. That, like, if somebody asks me a question, I know the answer. My like what you're saying is my moral compass says I have to give them that answer. I have to. It's just the way I am. I'm going to give you that answer.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people withhold information. Maybe not when they're asked. A lot of people. I'm that way. I'm not going to just throw out what I know unless somebody asks me. And then once they ask me, then I'll know. And I think there's a lot of people that are that way because maybe in the past or whatever they've shared that information and it didn't get received. Somebody just didn't care.
They didn't take it and use it.
They didn't take it. They didn't use it.
And that disappointment after a while just makes them
like,
not
why do I
waste
care
time
at this point?
That's where I was. I was giving all this info
frustrating.
and nobody was using it. So I'm like, well, why the fuck would I?
Yeah.
But
if you
so I just
you
started
hear somebody ask, then you're like, okay, I know this person is interested to get my answer, to know they know what I know, or they want to know what I know.
Yeah.
Right.
And then that makes you feel a lot better about answering that question.
So sometimes I feel like they think I have all the answers.
Fake it till you make it.
You know, and sometimes I'm like, I'll get back to you, and then I'll go home and like, computer, hey, give me an answer real quick. All right. I told you I didn't have an answer, but when I see you again, I'll come back with an answer.
That's funny.
You know, so I try not to. I'm very transparent. Like, if you ever talk to any of the staff, there's nothing that they're not exposed to. There's nothing that they don't know. You know, even when we're not making money, I let them know, hey, you need to step it up. Look at the numbers. I put it right in front of them. When we have like comments like that, I say, hey, look, you know, this is what's happening. Because technically I can hide it from them. But when they find out and they say, hey, Danny, were you aware of this? And I say, oh, yeah, I was, but I didn't let you know. Then it's kind of...
Then it looks bad on you.
It looks bad, and then the trust is kind of dwindling based off of that, right? Yep. But so far, I don't care about the embarrassment that comes with being honest. You know, it actually makes me sleep a lot better.
I would agree with you on that, to be honest with you.
It's much easier to sleep, and it's you'll get over it.
Yeah.
It stings for a minute, whereas the guilt for
It's not really
the guilt on the
embarrassment.
other side is worse. Embarrassment or whatever.
It's
I
like,
mean,
I always see it as
shame,
learning experiences.
learning experience.
You know?
It's easier to get over.
I can sit here and say, hey, you know what? 411 and Fenders has been like a walk in the park success, and there's never been any hurdles. But no, that would be BS. Let me tell you, we struggle with it every day. There's challenges. There's days we walk in and we're like, oh, espresso machine is broken, and the faucet over there is crapping out, and this cooler needs fixed, and the truck didn't show up, and you know I just deal with it, you know, because I address it and I let them know, hey, these are machines, they're meant to break, they get old,
It's gonna happen,
right? It's gonna happen. It's not the end of the
Don't
world.
let it ruin your day.
You know, so but other than that,
And that happens in every industry, no matter what you're in.
Yeah.
Something's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's how you respond to it. Just don't. I mean, some people just crumble under pressure. Some people will step up to it. And it's just a matter of like teaching everybody, hey, yeah, we got this issue. What do we do first? All right, we try to fix it.
Yeah.
We don't just assume somebody else is going to fix it, because there's a lot of people out there that, and that drives me crazy, is like something goes wrong and they just don't even attempt. It's like, man, like... This is something.
Take a breath.
Take a deep breath. I don't need to call somebody for this.
Take it one piece at a time.
yeah.
And you know, you hear the IT thing. Did you shut it off? Turn it on. I mean, a lot of times that works.
That's
though.
all
I mean,
you have to do.
it's not on everything, but there's times like, let's start with the most basic thing first. Like just start here, and then we will
Work your way up.
promise you we can figure it out. And if we can't figure it out, then we'll get somebody.
Oh, they've become really good troubleshooters, like really good.
Yeah.
because
They have to, though.
those buildings are old. Like
No.
majority of the stuff in there wasn't designed to be in there, so it's not always gonna. I've gone in there sometimes, and I'm like, the men's bathroom light turns off, and the women's bathroom light doesn't turn off, and I have tried everything to figure out why it stays on, but I don't know.
It happens.
You know. But then the other day, Stuffman was like, "Hey, guess what? The lights were off."
Even new construction has problems.
So, but overall, I'm pretty stoked.
But you're doing good stuff, man.
With where everything is. I have no regrets. I feel very honored. I'm telling you, 10 years ago, we'd be having a very different conversation, or not even having one, you know.
Yeah.
But to be able to be a part of something like this, like even my own family members are like, they didn't even see it coming. They just thought I was a party guy and carefree, and now I have like mad responsibility.
Yeah.
Like by mad responsibility, you've seen what a sticker on the window can do.
Right.
So I have to acknowledge that and know that 411 and Fender's presence it's bigger than me.
Yeah.
Right.
And I have to curate that. You don't want to leave a stain,
Right.
you know, and the responsibility still lies on, you know, the Black Cow, the district tables, the Bar A, the Norfolk Pizza, what's that place? The you know, at the end of the day, that blueprint that's going on right now, we're not the first ones.
Right.
You know, at some point, the people who built the buildings that are here in Norfolk, and their time passed, and our time will pass.
But and then somebody else will take over.
Yes. So what we're doing right now, if we cherish it and we appreciate it as much, and we appreciate it more, and that's why backlash like that really doesn't get to me.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've seen it. I'm only 40, and I've seen I've seen it happen in Iowa City. I've seen it happen in Rapid City, and the excitement will pass, and people will grow, and they'll move on, and the conversation will change. But for this time, like when we are sitting here talking about this and experiencing it, I'm embracing it to the fullest.
Yeah.
You know, and that's my respect.
Yeah. Definitely. Moving on a little bit, we're going to go a little political.
Right on.
That's right with you.
That is my weakest link.
That's okay.
But I will do my best.
I asked the same.
If we were doing like music politics, I'd kill it.
We'll do another podcast on music sometime, because I'm a big music fan. So maybe sometime we'll have to sit down and
Music and sports.
yeah. Maybe we'll bring you over on useless assumptions, and you can talk sports.
All right. Yeah. So, but I'm just saying, I'll do my best. So what do you
You're
got?
good.
We asked this to everybody.
Yeah, we asked
Everybody
this
gets
to every
the same
guest.
exact ones.
They get the same exact question. So don't worry,
Okay.
it's not just for you.
I know.
With an election year coming up, how do you feel about where the state of the country is right now? Do you feel that we are being well represented at the state and federal levels?
Here in Norfolk or the state of Nebraska?
The state of Nebraska, and then at the federal level, so the national government, presidencies, things like that.
Oh,
Do you feel like you're being well represented?
hang up. The president's calling me.
You ain't taking that shit here.
Yeah.
See, it's the
Oh, yeah, you are getting a phone call.
it's the lady of the house.
Yeah, the queen.
The real president.
She's like, make sure you choose your answer correctly. We are not going to take any more backlash this coming
right.
week. So, well,
It's a hard question, I know.
there's a lot of. You want my honest opinion?
Yes,
There's
your
a-
honest
there's-
opinion.
There's a lot of created uncertainties, right? For the first time in my life, I feel as though, like, we grew up in the 90s. We had direction.
Yeah.
We knew what to look forward to. Like, I remember in terms of tech,
Yep.
like, you knew, like, what to expect next year in terms of growth and, like, what's the coolest thing. And there was, like, this excitement and progression, right? But there's this feeling of everything is attainable to where you lose interest in you lose interest in dreaming or foreshadowing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like nothing is shocking anymore.
I can see that.
No, yeah, I can see
Yeah.
that.
You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
Yeah.
And with nothing being like shocking, the reason why I say nothing is shocking anymore is back in the day, like, things would happen, but you don't really get the information right away, like firsthand.
Unless it was absolutely monumental. Was
Yes.
the only time we'd get
Yes,
it.
but right now, all those shocking elements are so readily available. Even right now, you can go on your phone and whatever outlet you're using, and you see it, you get immune to it, and it's like,
I
That's
feel
it.
that. I was literally just driving into town tonight thinking it's sensory overload.
Yeah.
There's so much that happens so
Yeah.
fast that, like, how do you even, what do you even do? What do you, because you think about, like, whatever side you're on, I look at it as, like, if you're on one side, you're looking at it as a game. So, like, if I'm trying to beat this idea with my idea,
Yeah.
but yet this idea's got coming boom, 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 boom. Where am I attacking first? Like,
Yes.
where am I counterattacking here?
so with that uncertainty and the lack of the shock factor, we become numb to you. There's no room to even raise the bar,
Yeah.
right? So for like an election year, I don't see anything that can top the past one, unless you can top it. But there's like, do you see what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Because we all saw it firsthand, and we're like, okay, we took it in, and it happened, and then okay, so. I feel like we just wait.
Wait for it to happen.
Yeah, you know, like you can't plan. I mean, you can talk theory and all that, but is that making sense?
Yeah.
No, I see. I get what you're saying.
Because there's.
So do you think there's a way? Do you think there's a way to change that societally?
No, that's like
It's
that's what the
ingrained.
future. That's
it's
what
just
the
it
future is. And
So how do we adapt?
how do you adapt to it? Is this the way I feel right now? I think we'll become less remorseful.
And I don't feel that's a good thing.
Yes, but that's the adapting. Like here's a good example, right? Like you say, something terrible happens and you hear about it, but you don't see it right away, and you got this, oh man, unbelievable, right? But now, because there's references to all those incidences like right away, and they don't filter them. I mean, they try now. By filtering, like, you know, you go to the outlet and they'll be blurred or whatever, and
I've seen. I mean,
you get so immune to it to where it doesn't create a reaction anymore.
That doesn't worry you.
Huh?
Does that worry you societally with this? With if everybody's getting that way, does that worry you in the future for the future?
Because you're losing that,
or worry you for your kids, basically.
Yeah, because you're losing that that touch, that sensitivity that people used to have. It's when they say desensitized.
Yeah, desensitized.
You know? And there's still care and all this, but it's a different kind of care.
Because they're disconnecting, because they're not connecting it with them at home. They're disconnected from it.
Yeah.
So I look at a way to adapt being, and I think it'll happen as we become more local. Like we're so, like we talked about earlier, the world is so small now because you can talk about.
I know where you're going with that. Yeah.
But I think we're going to have to get back into a community.
Yeah.
Like everybody's going to shrink down to
smaller communities.
We're going to go to state to local or state to regional to county to town. And then you're going to be, it's cliquey, but at least you're how do I explain it? You know somebody's got your back basically.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it'll create like,
I think it'll bring the family
bubbles.
unit back.
Yeah. It'll be like very small bubbles.
Yes.
What is your thought on the family unit? Obviously, your family unit is still together, connected.
Yeah. Like the nuclear family.
The nuclear family. You get the wife, the kids. You guys are together. Do you think that's very important?
And it's complicated now, because the family unit, the traditional family unit, is not in existence anymore. And whether you like it or not, we have to accept the new family unit. There's family units that is 2 moms, or there's family units that's 2 dads, and there's family units where it's 2 moms, 1 dad, and that's just the direction, and you can't fight it.
Right. Which that's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm just saying. We go back to the single moms and stuff, and how much they struggle. Do you think that it's still important to have whether it's 2 moms and the kids or 2 dads and the kids or whatever? Do you think it's important to have the full family unit still together?
Whether it's changing or not.
I feel I think we both feel that having the family unit together, whatever it is, it's important to have it together.
Yeah.
I think it creates it's an advantage.
Yeah.
And it's better off, in my opinion.
Do you feel that way, or
kid.
what are your thoughts?
There's outliers out there.
I still respect the.
Oh, yeah, and it's not
at the end of
disrespecting them.
but at the end of the day, it all comes down to the happiness of the family unit,
Right.
Yeah.
right?
Right.
I was trying to pay attention to what was that? The drama that was happening in was it November? Over in Israel and Gaza.
Oh,
Yeah,
October.
we talked about that a lot. Yeah.
Right? And I'll be honest with you. Before Israel and Gaza, I had a very optimistic outlook on life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And there's been a lot of wars and all that. But for a good 3 weeks straight, right? The footage that was presented, good or bad, whatever it is, I wish I'd have never seen it.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But because human brains are freaking curious and they just.
Do you feel it's important to see some of that though? I feel like it is.
Well,
To see the reality of it.
It was not important to me, even though it was important when I hear it.
Mm-hmm.
But to see it
Yeah.
The visualizing.
and visualize it, and then try to understand,
Mm-hmm.
it brings a sense of insecurity, and I'm still trying to understand, like, so I'm mostly talking about the kids,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, cause kids are like this vulnerable, like fragile
Mhm.
element, right?
Yeah.
And till today, like, we talk about, like, yo, the kids, but I don't think people really like mean it, right? After that, when I see it,
Yeah.
because it just turned into. I never want to see that again, but
I don't.
I mean,
Yeah.
It's miserable.
but now going back to the family unit, because our kids have to grow up,
Right.
right? And whatever happened in that November has already created a conversation as to how the outlook should be.
Yeah.
Right. Do you sympathize? Oh, I mean, how do you look? Is that making sense?
Yeah.
Is there any sympathy at all, or do we just it didn't happen to us, so brush it off?
It. I don't have kids, so I don't know how I would. I struggle with that myself. Like,
Yeah.
I don't ever look at it as it didn't happen to me, so I don't care. It literally angers me to my core. It hurts me. I don't like seeing that stuff.
And
It's
I'm not taking sides. I'm talking about, like, what happened to both sides in terms of like the families, right?
Yeah.
And to broadcast that and just show it, and I'm like, so you've seen it. You can't take it out of your head.
Right.
It's there forever.
And and I was driving around with the kiddos, and I'm like trying to put myself in that situation, and I don't care how tough you are, but that stuff breaks you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, and you have a fond respect and even more love for your kids, you know.
Yep.
So
Yeah. And surprisingly, you'd be surprised how many people don't even go see that stuff. You'd be surprised. Like us sitting here
like
in this
what
room.
we're talking about
Yeah.
is
Like actually going
you'd be right.
and actually trying to do some research and seeing it. You'd be surprised how many people don't even do that. They just speak on what they've heard or
Yeah.
whatever.
But would the 2024 election change anything in terms of stuff like that? I don't know.
No.
You know, we can.
It'll
sit
take
here,
some time before any of that.
Yeah, but we can sit here and
Contemplate.
and share points. But
Do you watch the debates at all?
no, am I supposed to?
No.
Like,
I just
which debates are you supposed to?
the presidential debates.
No, not yet.
That's okay. You're not missing anything.
Are they crazy?
They just fight each other
Yeah.
on both sides. It's not. We always are proponents of actual. What are you going to do? Yeah. And right now, all they do is just bash each other.
We've been really big proponents, obviously, with this podcast. It's a long form conversation, and long form conversations seem to be a lot better because you dissect everybody's thoughts. So like you have your time to go through your ideas, and you're explaining it better, and you're getting a little pushback, but it's under a respectable amount conversation type of thing. So we're really big on that. And the debate form isn't really that. It's more of a just quick 2 hitters. You get 2 minutes here, you get 2 minutes here, you get 2 minutes
here. So they
don't
really finish everything they would like to.
Yeah, and they're constantly fighting.
Yeah.
Which some of them do the long form interviews and stuff, but then some of them we've had politicians we've talked to that and Zach had somebody and he didn't want to come do it because he said, no, it's just we got to do a short form. And I was like, no, we're doing, if we're going to interview you, it's a long form.
How do you guys, so, because you're more American than I am. And
we're all Americans here.
We're all Americans.
But like if you ask me about like the Kenyan political culture, right?
Are you versed in it? Because I don't know anything about it.
Well, like just from what I hear and what I read, there's like corruption and there's
that's here too.
Like a lot of the money that's supposed to go where it's supposed to go, or the help, and like none of the promises.
It's lining somebody's pockets.
None of the promises are ever come to fruition.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's letdowns.
Yep.
And it's like every year because there's a letdown and a letdown and a letdown and a letdown. Is there like a system or a plan that anyone ever sticks to?
It doesn't seem like it. It seems like the politicians get rich.
They do.
That's what it seems like to me. That's the way I read it.
There's a lot of different reasons for that, but it's true. But they're also able to. So they're the ones that are the regulators, right? Yeah. Politicians regulate how things are done in America.
Yeah.
Well, they can also still trade on the stock market.
Yeah. Because I remember taking a class.
So they can regulate those companies.
I remember taking a class and they would say the people in those positions are regarded as highly intelligent. And that's why they stay in those positions, because they can make wise, smart choices. And like a good example, like if you look at like corporations, right? Like during all the banks, like a CEO messes up, and then he leaves that company and goes to another company. And because they're regarded as highly intelligent, like they're special.
Yeah.
And without them in those positions, things would be difficult or things wouldn't work out.
It seems like a lot of smoke and mirrors to me.
It's a lot of smoke and mirrors.
I look at it.
But do you think he had like you know how you highlight like the when you highlight like the progress and like what things we have done, I'm pretty sure there's people who look at us like that and they feel like we even when we are at fault, right?
You're talking like if you're talking downtown Norfolk, like you're trying to go into that, where like your progress on that.
Yeah. Because that's how
I think there's that, but not really to the same extent. Whereas when you talk a CEO to jump into CEO, like they'll ruin a bank and go not lose any money and go to another bank and have the same job, make more money.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing in politicians. Politicians take money. They don't make money.
Well,
Elon Musk he's a maker, whereas Elizabeth Warren has literally contributed nothing to society, and she just takes money. She just makes money off of
or
the
a
stock
lot
market.
of these politicians will go from being politicians to being CEOs
They'll
of
be
these
on
companies because they were
Yeah.
probably
they were
given money and promised as long as you do these
regulated.
regulations.
So it has nothing to do with the skill and ability.
Zero.
I don't think so. I look
Not
at
anymore. Used to.
It
Not
used to
anymore.
be. Oh, okay.
it. So you talk about the progress of it, like,
Yeah.
and I look at the progress that we make here, statewide, we make nationally, we can make progress. And then you look at the corruptions, like what could we do as a society
Yeah.
if we weren't held back by our elites, quote unquote elites.
Yeah.
I hate calling them elites, but
Yeah.
the ruling class, if we weren't held back by them, if they weren't taking off the top or doing whatever they were doing, how good could we be as a society? Like what could we actually get accomplished in our, I think the sky's the limit. I think
Yeah.
the American spirit, and including, obviously you're an American and you clearly are an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You have a great vision and you've done a lot of stuff. We as Americans, the amount of stuff we could do, I think is astronomical.
Yeah.
Look at how successful we can be already.
Yeah.
And it is, and that's the other thing I think about, I talked about it's so much sensory overload. And then you also look at the good and it's like, all right, we are succeeding. We are doing better in this. So you got to, like you said, you got to look at the small victories.
Yes.
And sometimes I find myself having a hard time looking at those small victories, but I need to
That's-
get better
that's
at it.
That's one area that has always stumped me is the
Politics.
The politics. I mean,
It's frustrating.
I think everybody plays politics. I've come to the conclusion to get ahead, you have to play politics, and
I wish
Which
it
is
wasn't the case.
frustrating.
politics really doesn't favor the one who's not playing politics.
Well, we're trying.
Absolutely.
We're trying
You know
very
what I
hard
mean?
not to do that on this podcast.
Yeah.
So
No, but by me saying that, it's not like taking sides, but even in the workplace, there's politics.
no, that's what I mean.
If you want to move up, you gotta get in with the good,
Yeah.
right?
You gotta
and
Kiss somebody's ass.
yeah,
Yeah.
And it's always there. Like, and then you can find a worker who's way more thorough, but because they're not as involved in the politics, opportunities just pass them, and they're there for like 20, 30 years doing the same thing, and then everybody else gets ahead. And I think that's just the order of things.
Yeah.
You know, and
Which needs to change.
I
think in the end it gets. I think in the end it's. I believe in the end it works itself out. But
Yeah, because I think the way it's been laid out is you have to be an incredible genius.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't think you have to be.
you know.
I mean,
it feels look
look at our
like
president.
it,
He can't
you
put two
know?
words together.
Yeah,
So.
but
You don't have to be smart. You just have to be corrupt. Or
Yeah, but-
you got to have the right
but-
friends.
yeah, but just like that position of being a president, like even if you look at back in history, like when they had like the kings and all that,
Yeah.
they were the ones who people went to for direction and answers, and they, even if they didn't have the right direction and
Right.
answers, but they, you know, do you think that touch is not there anymore?
No, I would not go to our president for direction.
Yeah.
So
But do you know what I mean?
You
Like
know-
that,
you know
that,
the thing.
That what it used to be. That's what it used to be, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
definitely.
like when they
not
talk,
that long ago.
Yeah,
Actually.
like when they talk, you listen, and
Yeah.
you're like, okay, this is important. But I don't even think any speeches move people anymore.
Mm.
Not from. I've heard some speeches that have really moved me. Not from politicians.
Yeah, not from
I mean,
politicians.
Really?
Yeah.
I've not
Not,
in a while.
so they're not convincing anymore.
Not-
They're just
not
not.
in a while, not
They're
to
not.
me.
They're not genuine.
Yeah.
Politicians, anyway.
What speech are you talking about? That was like an example. Like,
So my favorite speech of all time it is Jimmy Valvano. He did a speech, but it doesn't. It was he won an ESPY award. He's a former coach, basketball coach.
yeah,
but he did the speech about cancer and about.
Yeah.
He's basically just talking about. I mean, it was his going away speech. Basically,
Yeah.
he talked about. There's 3 things you need to do, and be moved to laughter, moved to tears, and hug somebody. If you do that and pray, you have a full life. You have a full day. That's a full day. And if you do that, and I just take that to heart. That's a really good. I like
Was
that.
that the one you brought up on your mom and dad's podcast?
Jimmy V.
No, the other speech.
Oh yeah, and that other one, I always forget the guy's name, but
see, at that time, like when you get a speech like that, like nowadays, you can be very articulate and have a very moving speech. Like right now, we can sit down right here and put some words together that is so encouraging and then inspiring, right? And people can take that and like misinterpret and like distort it to where it will reach the audience, right? Because back in the day, like those words carried weight, but nowadays, like I've seen like speeches getting twisted and mocked and
taken out of context,
taken out of context, and they go from something really good to it's just trash, right? Even though it's coming from a sincere place, but there's that people have that power with the technology and all the outlets to do that, and nothing. It's like words are not holding any meaning,
Right.
and that's the sad part. Like this podcast, we can do it for 3 hours, and it just takes someone who's like, oh well, let me show you. I will just take this then clip it, and then and everything we have talked about can be.
Well, the nice thing about this
distorted,
podcast is we don't
right?
edit it ourselves.
Yeah.
So
But do you see what I mean? Because
Yeah.
we've discussed a lot of important information
We
that
have.
could be useful,
Yeah.
and back in the day, like that would hit the masses.
yeah.
But
Well, we're hoping it
now,
hits the
if it hits the masses, and then you have like,
Somebody could clip it.
trolls will clip it.
Yeah, and that's
whatever.
what happens
Yeah.
with all that information, and it'll be interesting to see this election year, because you know what was not there the previous election years? AI.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And
this
I
is
want to
different.
see, because I have seen.
I think
like,
this will be the last one before AI. AI's there. I don't think it's fully there,
Yeah.
but this will be the last one. I
But
think.
remember, the last elections, there was no voice manipulation with AI. Because
Yeah,
you
there is now.
imagine now,
But it's
those
still-
those political ads,
Yeah.
and you just take a voice, and you just the people are gonna make their own ads.
Well,
and they're
think
gonna-
how many people thought that Jim Harbaugh clip.
yeah,
But it's still
No,
it's
that's-
still a little bit off.
but
is.
that's new.
That's
It's
why you
new.
got to know where you're getting your
I think
information
this is
from,
the,
though.
I think
Yeah.
this is the last time. I think it'll be so good the next election that
It's going to be bad. Yeah.
how are you going to tell? You won't be able to believe your eyes or your ears.
Yeah,
That's what I'm really afraid of
and now
for our country.
can you imagine all that confusion? Because I've seen like what was that? There was a video of gosh, what was it? It wasn't a coach from Colorado.
The Jim Harbaugh, coach from
the Michigan coach.
Was that it?
When
Yeah.
he talked about
He was talking about playing.
he talked about Iowa,
Yeah.
about how bad Iowa
That's
was.
the one I was talking about. I thought it was real.
I thought it was real too, and I was like, "Wait a minute." Then I listened to it the second time, and
Yeah.
but
We
it-
played
it-
that on our podcast.
We did play it on
But
our
in
podcast,
this
yeah.
day and age, where people only want to listen to a minute clip and
Right.
jump into a conclusion,
Yeah,
right?
You really had to look at that one too.
yeah. You had to
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
the.
So, and I think it is a good way to end the podcast, because just a sign on the door made people jump into a conclusion about who I am, and they didn't even give me a split second to explain myself.
Yeah.
The moral of the story is, I hope we can come up with a system that restores that that power that words have.
Yeah.
Because the way
agree.
they're juggling it, and are you guys really religious?
I am.
He is.
You are?
I'm so.
Okay. There's that story of I don't know who the people are, but I guess they were all speaking the same language. They were all speaking the same language, and they decided to build a
Tower of Babel.
Is that it?
It's the
And
Tower
they
of
wanted
Babel.
to build it and then try to reach in the heavens, and I guess God saw that and decided to make him speak in tongues, and then they were not able to communicate.
Everybody
and,
was speaking a different language.
yeah, and they were not able to communicate, and it caused disorganization and chaos, and they never fulfilled their goal. But if you can look at this day and age with technology and the social media platform and all that, technically everybody is speaking the same language.
Right.
I have
beating the same drum.
seen a lot of comparisons to the Tower of Babel on stuff
Right?
that's going on now. People have made that comparison before,
Yes.
but yeah.
And could you imagine the same information being passed around by that many people and trying to reach one common goal?
Right.
You
There's
know?
there's a lot of people that you could have two people look at the same reality and see
Yeah.
two different realities.
Yeah.
And they'll never agree. They'll always see two
Yes.
different realities.
So and I think that's what tech has done. And it's like fast hand. It's like really quick. Like something happens in another country tonight, you can get it if you're awake right away, you know, and you can flip it. By the morning, I sit down and you say, hey, guess what? Well, this happened, but I'm misinterpreting the information to
Yeah.
you.
Right.
And it's not firsthand what you know, and it just, then I go and I tell my friend that completely different. And
That's like the game of telephone.
yeah.
Yeah. I think technology is a great thing. It has so many good upsides.
Yeah.
It also has downfalls. And I think our generation, or maybe the generation right after us, or when we were growing up with it, I don't think we all understood what it could do. And like, we didn't understand the downfalls of it. Nobody
Yeah.
did.
But
And
we
so
were
everybody-
excited with
we
it.
were excited.
You know?
And I think that was the problem. Nobody really paid attention to what the negative aspects of it are. And we just kind of jumped into it head first and just, whatever happens, happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now we're paying for it a little bit.
You're not even in control of,
Yeah.
like, what was that I encountered? I'm gonna put them on blast because I'm not happy. Anyway, like the POS system I used in the restaurant, right, has a lot of data in it, and so those ones you have the option to lease them when you first open,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the lease is like 5 years, and you pay for them. They give you the option to lease to own. At the end of the lease term, you can own the equipment,
Yeah.
or you can renew your lease. But here's the catch: they get outdated like your cell phone.
Yeah. As soon as you own it, you basically have to get a new one anyway.
And then they're like, well, you can keep them, but because your lease is up, it happens to fall right when they're phasing out. And I'm sitting there like, okay, so you're telling me I can pay them off, and then you're not gonna update them if they need an update unless I get the new ones. And to get the new ones, I gotta sign a lease.
That's how it works. Yeah.
And I was like, so you're not really in control of that.
Yeah.
And that's the future. I think even like your electric cars and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Even not even the electric cars, just your regular car.
Right.
Yeah.
They'll
There's
all
so
be
much technology in them.
Driven, you know. You don't make your car payment.
Shut
They
you off.
shut down.
Shut it down. Yeah.
We'll come pick it up on the side of the
They
highway.
don't even have to pick it up. You just leave it, cause
Right.
Yeah.
you know. But that's where tech is going, and I hope they can allow more control. But I don't know. That's probably another different subject. But it's a very interesting unknown phase that we're going into, like the next 10 years, and
Yeah.
I hope it I hope it is more gradual in terms of adaptation than like
Just right.
just
so
right.
fast.
Yeah, so fast.
You can
'Cause-
hope for that, but it's probably going to be fast.
Yeah, and just keeping up, because you also have to remember there's the elderly.
Right.
You know, trying to get them caught up to that pace, and
It's tough to do.
right? So, for the young kids, shoot, they're telling you,
Well, they're right in it. Yeah.
they're right in it. And other than that, hey, thank you very much. Did we beat the 3 hour?
We
3
did.
hour
We,
mark?
we beat it by quite a bit.
No way.
Yeah.
That's
I
what
think
I'm
we should bring you
talking
on
about.
again sometime and talk some more about other. You get some good insights on other
good.
subjects than just.
We didn't even got to talk about like food.
I
like
know,
the
I know.
dishes. And
I know.
putting
I had it kind of in here, but
cocktails.
the first episode. So we'll have you on again because we're gonna have multiple people on again,
Yeah.
and we'll do another episode talking about the food, how you came about with the menu, and
Yeah, that'll be dope.
once we get talking, it doesn't take long to get to 3 hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, I was trying to sum up 20 years worth of work in
It's tough
a
to
very
do.
short period of time.
So
you know?
I think we bring you on again later in the year,
yeah, that'll be cool.
maybe this summer sometime. We try to break those episodes out a little bit.
I'll be in Kenya. I plan on going to Kenya in July.
So we'll get you on before. Well, maybe
like mid-July.
Maybe after Kenya.
maybe we'll get you on after Kenya.
We talk about that.
Right on.
We can get you on multiple times.
That'd be really cool.
We
I'd
can't
like to hear
control
that.
this. So like,
Yeah.
if you want to come on and
We
3
actually
months,
we might have video and stuff, and
I
like
told
if you
them
had,
about that.
by that time we might have if you have pictures and stuff we could put
We could
on
show
and
those
we
on the
could show them
podcast.
on the
Yeah,
podcast and
that'll be
stuff.
cool. Yeah.
So that'd be really cool if we did it after Kenya, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm working on some projects down here. I'd like to. So my cousin owns a tourism resort, and last year when I was down there, they were like, "Hey, you should come do like a cooking session,
Guest.
like a guest appearance." And I was like, "Okay, well, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna bring a bartender from here and a server and a cook, and it's all." They pay for the flights and accommodation. I think we were supposed to do it for, was it in December for like 3 days, but I got busy. And but the goal is I'd like to take some of the people down there, and then not only do they get the exposure, but it's creating this bilateral trade in terms of they'll learn and they'll also train, and we get to share this little small culinary
Culture
thing
for them too.
Yeah, and
Go from here to there.
to come back here and that exposure, for a small restaurant to be able to provide that for the crew, not only does it speak volumes, but it shows that you can scale up your personnel to where for a long time a lot of shade has been thrown in restaurants, and a lot of restaurants have been put into this like this little cocoon where one, they say they're very risky, and two, you saw after COVID, like the first people to be laid off were restaurant workers. It's like they were just nothing, right? And now the responsibility that I feel I have is, can I bring back the restaurant workers' dignity of working in a restaurant, and it's not just a everyday grind with no security or reward, right? Because that's what COVID exposed was. Restaurant workers really didn't have any security, because once they shut him down, and for a couple of months, it was like, it's not like a local salaried guy who, you go home and work from home and you still get paid, or, other companies that could afford to sustain their workers. Like restaurant workers were screwed because they had to wait.
Yeah.
Because they live off a table.
Some restaurants shut down completely.
Yeah.
In
So
some
it wasn't
areas
just
of the country.
workers.
It wasn't just the workers. It was the owners. It was the
owners.
Yeah. And some of them are still, if I remember a couple of buddies of mine in Chicago, they never bounced back from that.
Most of them didn't.
Because the trust was lost.
Yeah.
And in order to make sure that trust is there, I think it's helped with the approach. And I think that's the other good thing that came out of COVID is I saw that and I was like, okay, I will make sure that whoever's on board, and like when you said minimum wage, I started paying people above minimum wage since I opened.
Yeah.
And yes, it was very costly, but at the end of the day, looking back at my time, I'm like, yo, you make like $9.
Yeah.
I think like they're like, yo, the sous chef.
Yeah. You're helping the community out, which is good.
You know, so
Yep.
Awesome. Well, go check out Danny 411
yes.
and Fenders.
And you see me around town, please say hi, and I'll sit down and I'll chat.
He doesn't bite.
Yeah, he
I
doesn't
don't
bite. Just
bite.
say hi. He'll
I
talk to
like
you.
good conversations. I like intelligent conversations.
I
Even the
think we
dumb
can
ones.
tell.
And even the funny ones. I didn't even get to my quirky side, the funny side.
We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get you on
some
again.
more.
And we'll we'll get you on again.
This is
Hey,
a really
sure.
great conversation.
This is an awesome conversation.
That was pretty good. Thank you for having me over.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what you do with this.
We're hoping it's gonna be a
once
good
you get
thing.
the studio and some music in between.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, you could have a DJ, right?
Right. We could do that.
Like, yo, we're gonna go on bathroom break. Yo, DJ, take
DJ.
him out.
Yeah. Awesome. Well,
thanks,
again,
man.
thanks, Danny.
Cheers, bless.
We'll get you guys next time.
Appreciate it.